Play.
All right, let's move over to the men's semi-final that we're going to have between Ben Shelton and Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner coming through in straight sets in probably the least surprising result, maybe not just of this Australian Open, but maybe any Australian Open of all time. Straight sets win over Alex de Minaur. Quick word on Jannik's match, either that match today or just his path to the semis.
Yeah, John, this is how predictable that match was. You and Steve were talking about this match 2 days ago, I believe, on your program, and both you and Steve said, Steve said Alcaraz would be a better matchup for de Minaur than Sinner, and he was right. You were right. Everything that you guys predicted happened. You had one player playing the similar style. When I say similar style, I'm not talking about their technique, but I'm talking about their A plan. Game A plan. Two players play similar style. One does everything a little bit better than the other. So overall, one maybe is not that much better than the other. A lot better, but maybe not that much. But this reflects in the score as if the one was 10 times better than the other. And this happens quite often. Starting with the 70s, Borg and Vilas. Older people will know this. Vilas and Borg were terrific clay court players, the two best. But Borg would just annihilate Vilas every time because they did the same thing, just a little bit better, and Vilas had no answer. And de Minaur was in the same situation against Sinner today.
Yeah, I mean, de Minaur is probably the best player he's played in the world en route, with the best, top 10 player. And yet he's had other problems with players such as Schoolgate.
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for de Minaur because, he probably felt the pressure of not being able to offer anything to the crowd to cheer for, just got worse and worse and worse, and it reflected in the score 6-3, 6-2, 6-1, and it was 6-3, 6-2, 3-love, 4-love, and I really felt bad for de Minaur there because the crowd just never got an opportunity to erupt, to get behind them or anything of that nature.
Ben Shelton is going to be Jannik's opponent. He won 4 sets today over Lorenzo Sonego. This one was a little bit more difficult to call, as the scoreline suggests. I mean, it was a tiebreak in the fourth that got Ben over the line. I think both Steve and I were erring towards a Ben win in 4 or 5 sets. From
you
memory.
Guys were right again.
Yeah, but listen, I got it wrong on the Carlos Novak one, and he got it right, by the way. So
okay.
I still have a bit more tennis experience to catch up with Steve on this, for sure. But yeah, so Ben is going to be over the side of the net. I do think that probably Ben will offer a slightly bigger challenge to Lorenzo. How do you see sort of Ben's chances against Jannik?
Okay, so Jannik Sinner is going to beat most players that have a baseline based game. In other words, some people like Fritz, de Minaur, are going to have a tough time beating Sinner. Now, this is not to say Ben Shelton is a volleyer by any means. He also likes to play from the baseline, but Ben Shelton doesn't give you the same shot 2 or 3 times in the rally. And he's got a pretty good serve. He's got a pretty good second serve too. Yeah. So this is where I think Shelton might give Sinner some trouble. I think at this point, I'm not sure that he can beat Sinner. I'm not going to say 0 chance by any means, but Sinner will be a clear favorite in the match. But I think Shelton can get through to or can avoid Sinner clicking on all cylinders against him because of the variety in power, the variety in spin, the variety in backspin, slice. On the backhand, he slices a lot, Shelton. On the forehand, he has this heavy top spin or sometimes just a flat hard shot. So he's not going to get into this one dimension back and forth, boom, 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 boom rally with Sinner because, well, he'll probably lose if he tries to do that anyway. So the only what I consider a danger for Shelton is that his forehands may drop short because he has this brush he has this quick brush up on the ball on his forehands, and sometimes what happens is he tries to hit them high over the net and try to push the opponent back, but then they end up falling short, bounce around the service line, and people like Sinner can step inside the baseline and just munch on those, have breakfast with those, taking it on the rise and putting it away. So I would say that there are a few things that Shelton has to do really well, and then he'll have a shot against Sinner, not only to play a close match, but maybe he'll have a shot to win. Who knows? But he needs to keep his forehands deep. He'll need to increase the octane on his first serve. I don't think he's serving as hard as he can so far in this tournament. In matches all the way through from the beginning to the end, he may have put in a bomb or two here or there, but most of the time I feel like he's served less hard or than he usually does on his first serve. His second serve point winning percentage is quite high. He only played one match where he was below 50%. That's against Musetti, 47%, but he's above 60% in 3 of them, I believe, and 70% in 1 of them on second serves. That's tremendous. That's absolutely tremendous. But I'll tell you this, again, I'm going to go back to the speed of the serve, because you would think that Shelton would have a harder serve than Sinner. He does not.
Oh,
Sinner's kilometers. I'll tell you Sinner's first serve speed in his 5 matches.
Yeah,
193 against Deminor, 197 kilometers, 189, 190, 190. This is Sinner's 5 matches. Shelton, 187, 192, 197, 196, 191.
Okay.
So there's really not much difference there. There is really
Right.
not much, but the difference comes in the second serve. Whereas Sinner is in the 150s consistently, 151, 155, 157. Shelton is 162, 167, 170, 166, 165. So his second serve is going to help him a lot. But ironically, for his chances to be high, he's going to have to do a lot of first serves and not have to do a lot of second serves.
Yeah.
It will not be a big problem for him to hit second serves. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's the second serve is not going to be a huge liability for him. He's got a very good second serve, and it has a lot of effect on it. It's not an easy serve to just knock back for a winner, but he's going to have to do more on his first serve. He only went the 2 matches where he went 197 and 196 on his first serve speeds average. It was against Musetti and Carreño Busta. He won 81 and 85% of them. In the other matches, he's in the 70%. He's going to need the 197, 196 average against Sinner. He's going to need this. It's not going to cut it with 187 average on the first serve percentage. So again, first serve, high octane first serve is going to be a key. He'll do fairly well in second serves regardless, I would think. But the other thing that he probably needs to do is attack Sinner's second serve, and most of the time attack it perhaps right into Sinner's body. Try to make him back up to hit the net shot. But John, in today's match, if I may touch on the Sonego Shelton, if you noticed in the third set, Shelton won the first and second set, and then came the third set, and Shelton's down 4-5 serving. He goes up 40 love, and from 40 love on, he has 3 points to get to 5-all, and he hits 3 fairly good serves on all 3 of them, and Sonego returns 3 short returns. In other words, he's got put away shots in the middle of the court, if not at least a shot that can set up the winner on the next one. And he didn't take advantage with any of them.
Okay.
The 2 of them he just kind of sliced and came to the net into the body of Sonego. The other one was a forehand that he should have done a lot more with. So he needs to take advantage of that second shot of the 1-2 punch.
Yeah. When you've got a good serve like he has, that's the next shot you need to be improving on or working on.
Yes, and that's why he lost that set. Now I'm not saying that if he held serve there and if he went ahead and hit away one of those 3 shots and made it to 5-all, it's not a guarantee that he would have won the third set, but it would have had a much better chance.
Something.
So I think the second shot of the 1-2 punch, assuming that he gets high first serve percentage in, is going to be a key. Seriously, I like his chances a lot more if, like I said, if he can serve in the high 190s first serve and keep a high percentage and do what's necessary with the second shots.
Yeah. Interestingly, in terms of the matches they've played before, every match has involved a tiebreak. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, well, Ben can easily get to a tiebreak a couple of times in this semi-final in Australia. Jannik's record last year was phenomenal in tiebreaks. I think it was until he played Carlos in Beijing, I think he'd won all bar one through a various stretch. So his temperament is second to none, that's for sure. But yeah, every match they've played has had one tiebreak, and the winner of that tiebreak has ultimately won the match.
Speaking of tiebreaks, I was thinking,
Cool.
What if the first set went to a tiebreaker and Shelton pulled it off? That would be a huge plus. But I think Shelton, to have any chance of winning against Sinner, he will have to win. In my opinion, he will have to win the first set.
Yeah,
I think if he loses the first set, I don't see him winning 3 out of 4 sets.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I feel the same way. Again, a bit like with the Iga match that we just spoke about, I am leaning towards the favorite, but I am thinking, it could be 4 very close sets, maybe a couple of tiebreakers, maybe one break of serve in it. If Ben can serve the bombs that we know he's capable of and keep that percentage up, especially the first serve percentage anyway, then that'll give him a great chance of running Jannik close. But Jannik is building a pretty good reputation on hard courts and also at slams, and I think ultimately he'll probably prevail in about 4 sets.
Yeah, if we were talking maybe a couple of years down the road and Shelton already has 3 or 4 semifinals and 1 final maybe in his resume,
or even 18 months back, because pre like unbelievable Jannik, as that was the one win that.
Yes, that's right, exactly. So, but because of the circumstances and because of the records for both in that respect, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with Sinner too, but I'm gonna say 4 sets, possibly 5, and two or maybe 3 tiebreakers involved in there.
Yeah.
And but I'm hoping, John. I also fear here that either Ben or Jannik, I want both of them to stay healthy. Like, for some reason, I fear that one of them may, somewhere along the line during the match, may suffer from some sort of ailment. And I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, Jannik, it used to be an issue with him quite a bit, especially over sort of lengthy matches, but that is something that he's certainly improved upon. And fingers crossed we get a classic anyway, Mert. Thank you very much.
Hopefully. And another thing, the one liability that Shelton has is, for me, is his first step is not super quick. So if they get into these rallies where Sinner is dictating rallies, look for Sinner to blow him off the court, in that sense. So,
Mert, you would say, therefore, for Ben to give himself the best, maybe just, keep those rallies as short as you can, which is easier said than done. Yes. I'm sure maybe de Minaur may have had some similar, but de Minaur just doesn't really have those capabilities that Ben has in that respect. That's correct. Yeah. But anyway, fingers crossed we get a classic. And thanks for coming on board again today, Mert, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you, John.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. Great to be joined by Vanch once again. I want to just get your quick take on what we've just seen basically happen, where Novak Djokovic ended up retiring hurt. It was a muscle injury that he incurred in the match with Alcaraz, and Zverev proceeds to the final. But what's your immediate or fairly immediate reaction to what we've just seen, Vance?
Yeah, I mean, I had watching that first set, I could see that something was wrong with Djokovic. He wasn't moving as well as he was during the set in the tiebreak, for sure. But I still thought he would continue. So I was surprised personally when he shook hands immediately after he missed that volley. Wonder what would have happened had he won that first set. But I mean, we were hearing reports that the last couple of days he hasn't been practicing, he hasn't hit. So, and obviously we know he tweaked it in the first set against Alcaraz, and Yeah, so I mean, it's unfortunate because that's now, two of the last four majors really that he's suffered some kind of a niggling injury midway through the tournament. And as he gets older, 37, 38 this year, it's going to be, tougher for him to kind of physically sustain that wear and tear that he's putting his body through. But nonetheless, the level of tennis was still pretty high. I mean, 80 minutes, pretty physical, grueling rallies from the back of the court. So, like, we know the tennis level is there for him to contend for number 25, but the question is just, these injuries, are they going to catch up to him where, yeah, he can't do it anymore?
Time will tell.
Ready. Play.
All right, let's move over to the men's semi-final that we're going to have between Ben Shelton and Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner coming through in straight sets in probably the least surprising result, maybe not just of this Australian Open, but maybe any Australian Open of all time. Straight sets win over Alex de Minaur. Quick word on Jannik's match, either that match today or just his path to the semis.
Yeah, John, this is how predictable that match was. You and Steve were talking about this match 2 days ago, I believe, on your program, and both you and Steve said, Steve said Alcaraz would be a better matchup for de Minaur than Sinner, and he was right. You were right. Everything that you guys predicted happened. You had one player playing the similar style. When I say similar style, I'm not talking about their technique, but I'm talking about their A plan. Game A plan. Two players play similar style. One does everything a little bit better than the other. So overall, one maybe is not that much better than the other. A lot better, but maybe not that much. But this reflects in the score as if the one was 10 times better than the other. And this happens quite often. Starting with the 70s, Borg and Vilas. Older people will know this. Vilas and Borg were terrific clay court players, the two best. But Borg would just annihilate Vilas every time because they did the same thing, just a little bit better, and Vilas had no answer. And de Minaur was in the same situation against Sinner today.
Yeah, I mean, de Minaur is probably the best player he's played in the world en route, with the best, top 10 player. And yet he's had other problems with players such as Schoolgate.
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for de Minaur because, he probably felt the pressure of not being able to offer anything to the crowd to cheer for, and just got worse and worse and worse, and it reflected in the score 6-3, 6-2, 6-1, and it was 6-3, 6-2, 3-love, 4-love, and I really felt bad for de Minaur there because the crowd just never got an opportunity to erupt, to get behind them or anything of that nature.
Ben Shelton is going to be Jannik's opponent. He won 4 sets today over Lorenzo Sonego. This one was a little bit more difficult to call, as the scoreline suggests. I mean, it was a tiebreak in the fourth that got Ben over the line. I think both Steve and I were erring towards a Ben win in 4 or 5 sets. From
you
memory.
Guys were right again.
Yeah, but listen, I got it wrong on the Carlos Novak one, and he got it right, by the way. So
okay.
I still have a bit more tennis experience to catch up with Steve on this, for sure. But yeah, so Ben is going to be over the side of the net. I do think that probably Ben will offer a slightly bigger challenge to Lorenzo. How do you see sort of Ben's chances against Jannik?
Okay, so Jannik Sinner is going to beat most players that have a baseline based game. In other words, some people like Fritz, Deminor, are going to have a tough time beating Sinner. Now, this is not to say Ben Shelton is a volleyer by any means. He also likes to play from the baseline, but Ben Shelton doesn't give you the same shot 2 or 3 times in the rally. And he's got a pretty good serve. He's got a pretty good second serve too. Yeah. So this is where I think Shelton might give Sinner some trouble. I think at this point, I'm not sure that he can beat Sinner. I'm not going to say zero chance by any means, but Sinner will be a clear favorite in the match. But I think Shelton can get through to or can avoid Sinner clicking on all cylinders against him because of the variety in power, the variety in spin, the variety in backspin slice. On the backhand, he slices a lot, Shelton. On the forehand, he has this heavy top spin or sometimes just a flat hard shot. So he's not going to get into this one dimension back and forth, boom, 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 boom rally with Sinner because, well, he'll probably lose if he tries to do that anyway. So the only what I consider a danger for Shelton is that his forehands may drop short because he has this brush. He has this quick brush up on the ball on his forehands, and sometimes what happens is he tries to hit them high over the net and try to push the opponent back, but then they end up falling short, bounce around the service line, and people like Sinner can step inside the baseline and just munch on those, have breakfast with those, taking it on the rise and putting it away. So I would say that there are a few things that Shelton has to do really well, and then he'll have a shot against Sinner, not only to play a close match, but maybe he'll have a shot to win. Who knows? But he needs to keep his forehands deep. He'll need to increase the octane on his first serve. I don't think he's serving as hard as he can so far in this tournament. In matches all the way through from the beginning to the end, he may have put in a bomb or two here or there, but most of the time I feel like he's served less hard or than he usually does on his first serve.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Summers, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's morning where I am. Eddie, is it morning where you are, or are we deep in the afternoon still? Well, I can't hear you, Eddie. Oh,
is that better? Yeah.
There we go. Technical issues out the way. Like I says, are you still in are you still in Seoul, or are you back in the UK?
No, I'm in Seoul. So yeah, it's the pretty much evening here now. So yeah.
All right, so this is the proper evening session for you. For me, I've literally been up for a couple of hours. I think this was the first time in the span of, I'd say, 3.5 weeks that my body has woken me up just after 6 o'clock in the morning, which I'm taking as a win. For the past while, it's been way before that, and we have what we hope to be what kind of would have expected on paper to have maybe have been the more one-sided match out of the two semi-finals. But given the early finish to the first semi-final between Djokovic and Zverev, this is going to hopefully be the maybe the more entertaining I said at least the more ebbs and flows type contest. What do you think, Eddie?
Well, you'd hope it's going to be better than the last semi-final, which of course only lasted a set. But yeah, the thing is, if it's going to be a good match, if it's going to be a good semi-final, then it's going to have to take a very good Ben Shelton performance, isn't it? I think because, or probably based on what we've seen so far, Sinner looks locked in. I mean, he had that sort of slight issue before where he looked sick against Runa, but then he seemingly recovered and then looked great against de Minaur. And the issue I think for this match is obviously, we know Shelton, amazing serve, big lefty, but if you're going to pick any players that's going to be able to neutralize that well, it's Sinner's right up there, right, in terms of the way he can return and counter punch and everything. And as we get into the rallies as they go on longer, you're going to expect Sinner to come out on top. So I think from the point of view of Shelton, and he's done well in the slams, and I think mentally, he's a good match player, but it's just the limitations in his game that are the problem relative to Sinner that is going that's going to be an issue in this match.
No, I tend to agree. It's he's of an age of a cohort where he 2 years ago he really broke through. With some fantastic performances, really showing off certainly the strength of that serve and that forehand at times. But as you say, a lot of the consistency is an issue. When it comes to his game, he can be very error prone and can make a lot of decisions that are questionable, or certainly questionable as you're going along. And there were certainly matches you'd feel this tournament as he has just won the first point, looking pretty good with that solid forehand as we were talking about, where he maybe has been slightly fortunate. For me, that Musetti match, I feel as though a couple of points went the other way. I think we could be looking at Lorenzo Musetti in this semi-final, not necessarily Ben Shelton. But as you say, Shelton's done an incredible job to be able to get to this position. I know he's probably had what kind of happened with Jack Draper in the US Open, where it was a side of the draw which just opened up very well for him. Not completely, like there were still incredibly good players that he had to get through. But it's it's all about taking those chances when those opportunities arise, and he did so here. As we have Jack, who's just popped in down below.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. I haven't spoken to you in a while, Jack.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your flow there, James. I just thought I'm sure you might have caught the sight of a strange, bedraggled Scotsman in the corner of your eye, but
just need to check: has your house blown over at all yet in the winds, or are you all safe, all okay?
Safe, all good at the moment. I'm seeing a few things kind of toppling over outside, but it looks like it's not going to be any worse than that, fortunately. What about you?
Luckily I'm a little bit further south. I'm just south of London, so it's just been a few gusty winds and that being about it.
Quite
fortunately, and Eddie, of course, is all the way over in Seoul, so I don't know if it's windy over there, if it's still.
No, it's just calm and sunny. It's all right. It's just a bit cold. That's all.
Okay. So,
yeah, just 15. I've got it at 15:30 at the moment on the Sinner serve. So
yeah, we got to do the classic syncing up of the streams. I'm 15:30 at the moment as well. Sinner's just serving.
I'm 15:30. Sinner's just done his first serve. It's just gone long, so he's now about to serve his second serve.
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same. Yeah.
Oh yes, we're all synced together straight from the get go.
I think you guys are definitely ahead of me. So
always one. There's always one. All good. I cannot give too many spoilers.
And I risked it as well because I went on my laptop, which tends to be like a few seconds slower than my iPad. Mainly because I wanted the bigger screen. makes me sound old, but I quite like watching stuff on bigger screens.
Yeah, I agree. So 50, I don't know if you're at that point, Eddie. 1540.
Yeah, 1540. So
yeah, good deep return from Shelton, and Sinner unable with a backhand to get it over the net.
I mean, this is what you'd have to say. If you can get the break here, ideal start for Shelton.
I mean, like, it's one of those things where he would have to have started really well. You couldn't realistically, certainly go behind against Sinner, because then he'll just demolish you. But certainly you want to be staking your place in this match.
What do we think of Sinner's level in general, this Australian Open? Because personally, I would say it's a little lower than last year. There's players, obviously De Minaur, where the matchups maybe a little kinder for him, and he's kind of got away with the whole thing. But I don't know. I feel like he's maybe not quite as confident as last year, and he's just been there by virtue of being
for me, I would say he's acting a bit like a darts player, where it's he's only having to play as well as his opposition, as well as the opposition that he is playing. I don't necessarily think he's barring that Runa match where he had those physical issues, he was able to realistically find a level and find to be able to get the job done, and he has got the job done relatively efficiently throughout the tournament. Okay, a couple of drop sets here or there, but nothing concerning. As a whacking winner from Ben Shelton down the line, forehand running one there. Hey, Ben Shelton has said, I am here for this match, Sinner. I'm going to follow my best mate Maddie Keys' exploits yesterday, and I want to be in that final.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's something that's been Shelton's had a lot of criticism for, is like his return and how he doesn't return games. He's just relying too much on the serve. But so, I mean, this has obviously been a great start for him, and maybe just a little bit of a slow start here for Sinner, though. I think though, in this tournament, though, the first two rounds, it wasn't great from Sinner. But when he was against Runa, obviously he was sick, but I thought he did really well in the circumstances. And then, I mean, it was a walk in the park against De Minaur, and still, I mean, obviously the matchup is an issue there, but still, I thought it was so well executed, and very impressive. After apparently being sick the day before, the 2 days before, but it's got to lock in here now.
I mean, the one thing, of course, with Shelton is that he's a big. On the flip side, is that he is a big game player. If you ever wanted he always overperforms at the slams comparative to what he does during the rest of the year. But seen by the fact that this is the second time in the span of a couple of years that he's got to the quarterfinals or better at the Australian Open. Got to the semis of the US Open a couple of years ago, and he's just somebody that in those big moments, we see it in the Labour Cup as well, where he goes God mode and all those bits there, that he can really bring it to the big arenas, and and less so to court 2 at a 500 somewhere in the first round, where he can be a bit flat.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I mean, I think he's, for the occasion, like, he's shown like he's mentally able to deal with these situations. It's more just sort of, it can be, a bit of consistency sometimes is an issue, but also just game wise, I mean, it's just going to be difficult against, I mean, Sinner. If Sinner is on form, he's going to definitely be able to get his back into this and get the breaks.
I mean, Sinner now has just got 2 mistakes out the Shelton racket to go 15-30 up on the Shelton serve. But I tell you what, though, just looking at the start, it just doesn't seem like Ben Shelton's overawed, which is really good to see. And he's not been overpowered as well, which is always a concern that you can have when you've got somebody who is experienced as Sinner is so early. But that was a brilliant serve out wide there by Shelton. Sinner unable to get any real proper connection onto that as it goes into the net.
I do think if we're going to talk about maybe the areas that Sinner could exploit, I do think you're right. Shelton's a big match player, and we will see some pretty flashy shots from him. He's always going to be able to hit big, massive shots in either wing. But actually, I don't think Sinner will be very afraid of going either side. You know, forehand, open up the backhand. Maybe Shelton's got a little bit of a tendency to loop that forehand a bit, and it kind of sit quite high. And you're right, he's not getting overpowered at the moment, Shelton. But I do think as the match goes on, Sinner won't be afraid to flatten out a little bit off our higher balls, and we could see the rally start to change shape as we go. And as you say, it's like Sinner's just been playing the opponent at the moment. He's not had to do much else, so there probably is another gear he can tap into. Whether we'll see that in this set or later in the match.
That's how I always compare it to like a darts player, where you're playing somebody who can only average a mid-90s, then you only really need to hit someone in the high 90s. Whereas you're going to be playing like a world champion, like a Luke Humphries or a Littler, you're going to have to be averaging well into the 100s to be able to win the match. And that's kind of what Sinner's been doing, is that he knows the level of the opponent he has to play, and then brings that appropriate level in that match.
Yeah. Breakpoint saved. Advantage Shelton now. Some pretty solid rallies again. There has been unforced errors even in this one game. It's only the first of Shelton's service games, of course. So we'll see what happens if the unforced errors continue to spray a little.
I know it's a sort of side note, but I just still feel so disappointed again at the kit that they gave Sinner to wear.
Yeah, it's a bit beige. It's literally beige, actually.
What's that?
I think it's a bit beige, but it's almost literally beige. It's pretty close.
I think I saw somebody tweet somewhere. It's like he works at a water park in Florida in the 80s.
Yeah, I saw that. It is very that.
And
it's a Nike kit, so they don't put any effort anymore. It's just like a plain.
Both Adidas and Nike have had an absolute shocker this tournament.
I don't think the Adidas was that bad this year.
I think the purple, the orange one's been all right, but I think they haven't really been. Usually at the Australian Open, you see a lot of colours, a lot of bold. Certainly a lot of bold colours in what people wear, and just none of that this year. I mean. I don't know, maybe because the Nike kit from 2 years ago, the one that Tiafa had, the best type top, that was brilliant. I felt.
You need like iconic slam winning kits, don't you? The Wawrinka French Open shorts from like that kind of thing. We've got Fergus the side here, by the way.
Hello, how are we doing?
Hello, Fergus.
Hey, Fergus. You got 4 people on at the moment. You're getting your bang for your buck here. more than unfortunately the fans in the stadium earlier today did.
Lovely move there. Oh, never mind. Nope, Sinner gets past, so it's another game point for Shelton.
I missed this in an opening service game. Was it a poor opening service game, or was Shelton returning well?
I mean,
neither. Clearly, was neither.
Well, it was one on a brilliant Shelton running forehand winner down the line, which was pretty awesome to see. But I would very much say it was Sheldon really, being in 5th gear from the get-go, and Sinner just warming into the occasion at this stage.
Getting questions in the chat there about the favourite Andy kit. I mean, that one that's just popped up is lovely. We can leave it at that. We're here for Shelton and Sinner. Come on, let's be professional.
So he's done that a few times now, just gone straight into the body, and it's worked well. So
it's almost like you can't get it past Sinner sometimes. You're right. It's like the limbs are just a little too gangly, so jamming them up is a good idea if you're willing to wait them out, basically.
And actually, actually, again, Sinner's actually good at dealing with them, but Shelton's obviously he hits it so big. So
there we are.
In the chat, are you big on Shelton? Being asked, I'm not as big on Shelton as a lot of people are. I think a lot of people see Shelton and they're like, oh, out of all the Americans, most potential. This guy could have it, but it's all coulds, woulds, if buts, maybes. Let's see if he does kind of patch up the holes in his game. I don't know if that definitely will happen. If it's all a bit wristy and loopy, and we'll see. So I'm top 10. I think. I don't think he'll go further than that.
Yeah, I mean, I see him getting into the top 10. As you say, is he prepared to make the changes to key parts of his game, key parts of his game to get him to that higher level?
Yeah.
I mean, he's had people in his sort of cohort. You could probably say those people in the early 20s who have made changes last year. I mean, you look at Draper and Musetti in terms of the aggression that they added to their game, and that's helped them overtake Ben in the sort of pecking order. It's certain changes like that. Is that what Ben's going to be? Ben already has a lot of that aggression, but it's things around consistency, unforced error counts, the whole job lot. Is he going to be able to rein back in?
I think that is a great question there as well. Shelton or Draper, which do we think is going to go further?
Draper.
All right, in his I don't know about that. I think similar, to be honest, but I don't really. I'm just sitting on the fence here, really.
I'll say Draper. I'll say Draper.
I think it is Draper, and I think because there are lots of people that think that Shelton's going to win a slam, and he might win the AO, not the AO, sorry, the US Open, maybe like once in like 7 years, but I think overall Draper will have a bigger career than Shelton will.
I mean, a couple of key metrics. Draper has proven to be more consistent on the tour when he has been fit and healthy. Has also got to a slam semi-final already. Took advantage of good pathways and then beating good players, and he is consistently beating the best players in the world. On a regular basis. I mean, he got four top 10 wins last season. A couple of years before that, he got 3. I mean, he knows how to beat the big players. He likes the big occasion as well, like Ben Shelton. So that's where they both sort of tick the same box, where they do show up in the big matches when they're physically capable. But as I say, Draper made those changes last year to make him more aggressive and to make him dominate matches more, and that really benefited him in a rankings rise and the titles that he was able to win from that. And also the fact that he's a lefty really helps as well. And also Shelton's a lefty or plays with a left-handed, which is a real benefit on the tennis tour. But it can really allow players to get that extra edge, certainly on the ad side, as we know, from the swinger out wide or going bomb down the tee. It just adds so many different options on those big points.
I think players are getting a bit more privy to playing lefties in general. I'd be surprised if statistically people were kind of on the ATP at least losing to lefties more often than righties, and maybe some matchups aren't as good as others. But if you look at like the top 5, I imagine their lefty record's not going to be bad at all. Sinner's not going to mind getting dragged wide on his backhand return, for example, on the ad court. So my point is Shelton might have that edge against some of the kind of lower ranked kind of top 50 players, inverted commas. But your kind of Medvedev, Sinners, Alcarazes, all these guys, they shouldn't really be bothered about it. But by now, I would say.
I think also as well, like and this is where like Massetti can sometimes get dragged into conversation. It's how well all these players play on the different surfaces as well. Because at the moment we haven't really seen anything from Ben on any other surface but hard courts. Which, okay, granted, hard courts make up the majority of the year. So if you're going to specialize in one surface, that's the one you realistically want to pick. But we know that with Draper, he's incredibly good on grass courts. That's his favorite surface, and you could see a world where a Wimbledon could open up for him on one half of the draw to be able to get to the final, and then then God knows what could happen there against whoever he could end up playing. And then similar for Massetti, he's a natural surfaces player in terms of where his majority of his strengths are. So clay courts and grass courts, he's able to show up really well in those tournaments. And at the moment, for the clay and the grass, Shelton just hasn't really appeared for those ones. I mean, maybe a quarter final at Mallorca is the best that we've had so far.
Yeah, it's surprising Shelton's. I mean, in a way, just with the serve, it's surprising he's maybe not shined on grass yet. But I mean, from the back of the court, again, struggles a little bit to flatten it out sometimes, and can just go a little too gung ho. It's maybe not too surprising at the same time for players who are good returners.
And the matchup in this matchup, I think their match at Wimbledon was maybe the most lopsided and in favour of Sinner. And it was straight sets, and yeah, Shelton wasn't particularly competitive at all in the first two sets.
And Sinner's got a break point on my screen at the moment, and he's in the rally, and he's mistake off the backhand. Yeah, mistake off the backhand from Shelton, and there we go. We are even Stevens.
Literally an insane. That return was insane. That was
such a good return from Sinner.
I'm going to see it. Oh, you see, that's it though, isn't it? It's just he's one of, if not the best returner on the tour at the moment. He's up there, right? So
yeah,
returns like that was mad. That was like 140 down the tee, basically. Kilometers an hour, 2 miles an hour, whatever it is, 214.
And so, yeah, the Shelton serve isn't, you wouldn't say it's completely, countered by, it's still a weapon, but against Sinner, it is far diminished, really, which is why, I mean, Sinner's won the last 4, is it, in this matchup? So,
yeah, mental, really mental. As we kind of suggested, I think Sinner has started a little slowly, and returns like that suggest he's finding his feet now, and it should be pretty brutal for Shelton from the back of the court. Anytime the first 2 balls get neutralised, he's going to struggle, I think.
Yeah. Probably needed something to wake him up after the Demon Hour match.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's going to struggle against Zverev in the final? What we're thinking if he does get there? I'm getting ahead of myself, but what do we think?
It'll be Sinner in 4.
Sinner in 4, yeah. I feel like
I could see it similar to what happened last year. Actually, I could see Zverev going 2 sets to love up, it looking a bit ropey, and then Sinner just taking the next 3.
Oh,
does Zverev do that to himself again?
That would be so horrible for Zverev, though, wouldn't it? I mean, that's
what happened to Medvedev, to be fair, obviously, isn't it? And he's he seems like he does seem like more of a nihilist nowadays, to be fair. Like the guy's kind of lost all faith in some ways when he talks about his tennis career. Obviously, I think every time he's at a press conference, he raves about his family and stuff. But it seems like every time he talks about slams, it's all a bit doom and gloomy.
I think the only way it's a weird one, because there could be a world where he could win tomorrow. I mean, the only time that Sinner and Shelton have played, so Sinner and Zverev have played in the Grand Slam was the US Open a couple of years ago, and that one Zverev did win in that quarter final.
In 5, yeah.
In 5, and the overall head-to-head is 4-2 in favour of Zverev. Granted, I think the last time they played, Sinner did win. That was at Cincinnati last year. But there is certainly a world where on paper, if you took away the fact this was a Grand Slam match, that Zverev it could be a 50-50 match in terms of who could win. But the fact that you've got the Grand Slam element added to it, and just given the severe scar tissue that Zverev has, I mean, from 2020 being 2 sets to love up and serving for the match against Team to not win that one, and then to be 2-1 up against Alcaraz and then losing that one last year. I mean, that's deep scar tissue.
Yeah, it basically means wherever he is in the match, he's not going to feel comfortable, right? It's pretty tough.
I mean, the only time I feel comfortable is if the ball is the last point of the game, if he's won it, and that would be it. I mean, it's a weird one. You kind of feel as though for him, maybe a Shelton or some sort of player ranked significantly lower than him would be who he'd want in the final, because then he'll be so overwhelmingly the favourite that would give him the ability to maybe just get over the line in some regard. And again, Sinner would not be it.
He might even feel more nervous.
Yeah, he could do that as well.
Could have the opposite effect. The stats are super interesting actually for this match already. I'm talking about Sinner probably winning the majority of the long rallies, but actually Shelton's winning them overwhelmingly at the moment. Inverted commas again, because most of the points are coming from 0 to 4 shots, and Sinner's winning them by a huge majority. So most of the points are ending very quickly, and it's Sinner that's doing the damage.
It's just so venomous though, that backhand of Sinner.
It's like a slap. It's like it's ridiculous. It's just all in the wrist, and it's.
I mean, that was like puppet strings there in that rally. It was Sinner was like, you're going there, you're going there, you're going there, done.
Oh.
So very interestingly, if you look at Shelton's service games, Sinner's won 6 points in 0 to 4 shots, and Shelton's won 4 points in 0 to 4 shots. Now, for that to happen without double faults, Sinner's got to be making the next ball, and Shelton's then missing the +1. So he's missed the +1 6 times.
Nice.
Which is unreal. So you can kind of tell maybe Shelton's trying to shorten the points, and obviously with the Sinner return game, it's just not working.
No, and as you were saying, Sinner probably. I mean, would you argue he's overtaken Djokovic in terms of being the best returner on tour?
Currently, yeah. I mean, obviously, we're talking about an all-time resume. Sinner's not got an extensive enough one yet, but certainly at the present, I would say Sinner's probably a better returner. That's fair enough to say.
Yeah. So as you say, it's the pressure that he is then able to exert on his opponent. To have to then, go deep in every single service game. And okay, so maybe at the start of a match, in the first set or the first couple of sets, you could just about cope with that. But as soon as you get to sets 3 and 4, that just grates on you such a degree as an opponent that you will just eventually break down. And unless you're really being quite proactive on your opponents on Sinner's serve, which, given how lethal his serve has become now, is very difficult to do. It just shows the level that we have on certainly the best players we've got at the top of the game at the moment.
Oh,
like in best of 3, you may be able to just about do it, but not in best of 5.
Oh, it's such a ridiculous return.
Yeah,
it's such a ridiculous return.
You guys are ahead of me now. I'm just.
I mean, like that return, it shoved Shelton so far out wide, it went further than where he could put Sinner out wide.
The angle.
Yeah.
I mean, just unreal. It's like, I don't know, like I think one of the most impressive things about Sinner in general, I mean, that service, I mean, to get it was kind of awkward, and he makes that angle, but just in general, he always gets into awkward positions and then just sort of executes, makes it look easy, but I'm just so calm.
I think he always makes it look so ugly, but then it just always is perfect. Like it's such a good return.
Yeah, ugly isn't like, I don't know. He's got those gangly limbs.
It's like he's twisting his body in the most unnecessary way possible, but it works.
That previous point, by the way, Shelton's slice approaching to the Sinner backhand must be one of the most terrifying things you can do in life. Just imagine you're going to get rifled at you.
I was about to say, you're bound to get pinned.
Yeah.
Just another great return.
if Shelton does want to be like a slam winner and a top 5 player, I think his backhand needs to improve. I think that's his biggest weakness at the moment, his backhand.
It needs to become a weapon. You look at Sinner, you look at Alcaraz, a few other players as well that are developing those parts of the game. That both their forehands and their backhands are where they're getting the winners from.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced this forehand's good enough either, to be honest. This is why I'm kind of like there's potential there, but we've not seen any signs that it's going to get better.
Sorry, Darren.
I was going to say the one basically with the forehand. Sometimes I think with a lot of these players, certainly historically, a lot of the time they either have it or they don't have it. It's just like something that they've had their whole career and they're used to playing that aggressive on it. And you can kind of see that with the new gen, the Fonsecas and the Menchiks of the world, just absolutely rifle their forehands. And if you're wanting to match the Sinner Alcaraz profile, it's got to be something that is otherworldly to make a difference. And I just don't think Shelton's got it.
He is still 22, 23. Like,
yeah, I suppose
you have to give him some time.
Yeah, you do. But then how long do you give them? Because then with a player like Zverev, Medvedev, these guys, we've been waiting around talking about their forehands for years and years, and they've never got any better. And as a result, they've not won slams. There's been holes in their games, and the better guys have a complete game, and that's why they're winning and they're not. It's like,
What a point.
Oh, what a point from Sinner.
He's still dragging Shelton around the court. Like, this is going to be a long afternoon for Shelton if he keeps going like this.
Well, just to back up the point you were making there, Jack. I mean, we got a situation you say, like the Medvedevs, your Rublevs, your Tsitsipas's, your Rudes. We're now very much got a story what feels like a narrative this year, which is how long can they hold on to their positions in the tour, really? Because they're getting beaten now by a lot more players and a lot more of the younger players who are hungrier, who have got more motivation, and have more complete games, are taking them to the cleaners, or at least working their way up.
Totally. It's basically like, if you want to be even in the top 10 or top 5 for sure, you can't have any holes in your game. Actually, Fritz and Medvedev maybe at that point.
I was literally about to say, having no holes in your game. I still think Alcaraz has holes in his game. Like, the only person that I'm convinced doesn't have any glaring, well, not glaring, but huge holes in their game is Sinner.
Yeah, and there's a reason why he's the world number 1.
Yeah,
there you go. See, it all comes together. As Sinner has break point. Oh well. The live score is a bit ahead of me, so it's a bit ahead of all of us, I think. So Shelton saves this break point.
Oh, don't spoil it, Ferg. We're not having any spoilers here.
I'm not the one giving you the spoilers. It's literally on the live ticker on the screen.
Do what I do. I've got a I don't know how. I've got a CD case which I'm putting on the live score to make sure I don't actually see what's being
Just take it off the screen. We can just commentate. It's fine.
Okay.
No, but
that's the thing. It's like that serve out wide. Still, Sinner gets a racket on it, and Shelton has to finish it off. But he would rather just have a few more free points in that serve. But
that's just filthy from Sinner again. Utter filth.
He's so deep in the court, and he covers so much ground so quickly.
I love looking at the serve speed there as well. The serve speed's down to about 110 miles an hour. Shelton went down the tee with it, so it should have been faster. Immediately, you can tell Shelton's like pressured to place the serve, and it just doesn't do any damage. I think he's used to just like whipping it in with his wrist, like wherever it goes. His placement's not quite as good as the other players on the tour.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like just pure pace is only going to get you so far. Placement is more important, and that is something that he's lacked.
Totally.
Well, that's something that he said that he was trying to do, take off some speed to match for placement, because
this rally.
Oh, yeah, good. This is good.
Wait, you talking about this rally?
Yeah, this rally.
Return again. Holy crap.
It's literally, it's like PlayStation tennis.
It's such a good drop shot from Shelton.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that was bloody brilliant. Both of them. Sinner grazed his knee.
Has Sinner grazed his knee? I'm sure he'll live.
He retires with the grazed knee.
Yeah, retires with a grazed knee.
Yeah.
First time in history someone's retired with a grazed knee.
It's nice to get the sass. It's nice to know I'm getting the sass back now from Fergus.
Yeah, I agree with Matthew in the chat. I think if the conditions had been a bit hotter, Shelton's serve just pops a little more. It felt like the night match was always a death sentence.
I must admit, I was on paper. I was slightly annoyed that it went the way round that it did, with this match being in the night and then Djokovic versus Zverev in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I would have felt that match on paper would have been the better spectacle for the night match than this one. But given the fact that Djokovic retired at the end of the first set, I'm kind of glad that it's gone the way round that it has.
Yeah, it worked out. I suppose Sinner's the defending champ, world number 1 as well.
It's a big hold from Shelton.
That was good.
Well, what seemed to happen is that they've actually been quite regimented to the scheduling, where the players that played like on the effectively the Monday or the first day of the tournament playing in a day session semi-final, and the players that played on the second day on the Tuesday, or what would effectively be the Tuesday, are playing the night session of the semi-final. Whereas places like the French and the French Wimbledon and the US Open, they actually look at the two matches and then decide which way round they want to put it on the day.
Going back to this Shelton Draper debate, we both know that they can obviously play on hardcore. They both made the US Open semi-final. It might come down to who's the better clay player in their career. And if you're basing off it now, who is the better clay player between Shelton and Draper?
Draper.
He will have certainly maybe take a couple of years, but Draper has a game that really suits clay. I mean that loopy forehand he can bring will do real damage on certainly high bouncing clay courts, or even more high bouncing clay courts than on the tour. And I think he would have had a good clay season last year if it wasn't for the pure fact he kept on running into really good players in the first couple of rounds.
I mean, I think Shelton's forehand's almost similar in a way, but it's just not as heavy as Draper's. Draper can hit through his a bit better as well. And then his rally tolerance is just a little better too. So I just expect that he can hang in the rallies for a bit longer than Shelton can.
Sean's saying that Draper's body is a factor. Yes, Draper's body is a factor, but everyone knows that, and it's getting to a stage where I would back Draper to go in a fight after all that he did at this year's Australian Open, making 3 5-setters in a row.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, he was absolutely done in for the Alcaraz match, but there aren't many players that can play 3 5-setters in a row and long 5-setters. These aren't 3.5. These are 4.5 hour.
It was certainly, we found out this year, like with the number of data points, that even the fittest player, as you say, Fergus, even the fittest player on the tour, they could only do 3 5-setters in a row, as you're saying, before the body will just cave in. But the pure fact, he's basically done effectively 4-hour matches back to back to back, coupled with the fact that last year he managed to have, pretty much barring a slight niggle after Tokyo, an injury-free season, that statement of his body being a factor is becoming less and less of a relevance in arguments, because he's proved that he can do an entire year. He's proved he can now do long matches. You can stop worrying that Draper's body is going to be the major issue. I mean, okay, he's recovering from his tendonitis at the moment. Hopefully, it's only an acute or a chronic version of tendonitis, so that he can get back in a week or two's time. But it's very exciting in terms of what Draper can do and what Draper can bring.
Yeah, you have to remember that last year was his first year fully on tour. So there you go.
I mean, I better be careful, because I've got myself pigeonholed as a bit of a Draper fanboy in the talking tennis area. But I'll go with it.
That Shelton return, he's putting nearly everything into that return, and Sinner's still putting it right towards the back of the court, and Shelton then makes the error off the forehand side. It's like Sinner's just happy to neutralize anything Shelton wants to put him, and he's too good to not neutralize it.
It's good to see that Jane's coming in with the going on the bandwagon I've been on, which is about talking about kits, by saying he doesn't like how clingy the on shirts are to Ben Shelton at the moment.
If you look at Ben Shelton's kits throughout the entirety of last year, it always seems like they just cling to him I feel like they're already pre-soaked.
Yeah,
it's like they're pre-soaked, and then he puts them on.
He's jumped into the pool just in the area, and
it genuinely looks like that, because it'll be literally the first game, and it'll be cold outside, and he'll be dripping in sweat.
Tiafoe was like that as well. He would walk onto the court, and he just looked like he was a human sponge.
I mean, Rafa's the classic. Rafa's just like the sweater.
I mean, there's calls to say that he should have tested his DNA to see if he wasn't half fish.
It's mad. Good hold from Sinner there. After a wee net cord at 40-15 from Shelton. So good to bounce back there and get the hold. Crunch time, I think, for Shelton.
I mean, wouldn't be that surprised if Sinner goes on and breaks in the next game here and serves it out.
It's been coming.
He's looking more likely as I get a little shot of Novak in his press conference. That leads to actually a big question. Given the fact that Novak retired here, he picked up another injury throughout this tournament, do you think Novak can do a Grand Slam run just purely down to will his body hold up anymore?
Wimbledon, I think he'll probably.
Go on, sorry.
Wimbledon, I think he'll probably make the final again.
Yeah, it's too good.
On grass as well. Grass isn't that physical. So I think he'll make the final, and then I don't think he'll play the US.
You don't think he's... Go on. Sorry about that, Jack. Carry on.
I was just going to say, obviously, he said in his press conference he was sceptical that he would make another Australian Open run, so it's obviously quite serious, whatever it is. It could well be his last year on tour if there's injuries kind of niggling under the surface the whole time. I'd probably tend to agree with Fergus and say Wimbledon final seems the most likely, just given his experience on the surface, but also everybody else's lack of. There's still not really anybody else, apart from Alcaraz, of course, and Sinner, I would say, the two of them. But everybody else, I would say, is still maybe lacking behind. So Djokovic has a good chance to at least make the semis, and then maybe he'll get a big win. We'll see.
I mean, I think I said in our ATP prediction show that I would say that Wimbledon is his best chance to win a slam. But of course now it's also going to be quite draw dependent, because he's not going to be moving from that 5 to 8 seeding slot for a while. He'll probably end up having that slot definitely in the French and certainly into certainly into Wimbledon. And if he ends up on and if Alcaraz can't get more consistent on the tour, you could be in a situation where he'd have to play maybe a Sinner and Alcaraz in the quarters, then a Sinner and Alcaraz in the semis, and then follow that up with another big name in the final. I mean, that's a lot. Even on the grass court, that is a challenge and a half.
I would back Djokovic to beat Sinner on a grass court. I don't know about Alcaraz.
I think we're in a mode at the moment where it's questionable. Yeah, you probably would say on current form, Alcaraz is the best grass courter that there is on the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't think we'd ever been in a situation where we would say a Spaniard would be the best grass courter.
Yeah, and he's the best clay court player as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's
great volley from Shelton.
That was a fantastic volley from Shelton. We're in this sort of weird situation where we have one player who is the outright best hardcourt player in the world in Jannik Sinner, and then we got, or not to say outright, but certainly the best natural surface player in Alcaraz.
Matthew's saying that Novak will play all 4 majors. I agree, but then does he play any other tournament in the year? He's down to play in Doha, isn't he? I think
he is, but if the injury is as bad as it is, to pull him out here, I think that's now in doubt.
Does he play Indian Wells?
I think he's only down to play that tournament realistically because of his new sponsor being Qatar Airways.
Right.
So it part of that contract. It's a bit like when he was with Uniqlo, wasn't it? And he had in his contract he had to play the Tokyo event because it was the native tournament to Japan. Similar to the Qatar Airways, where they probably put into his contract with him that he has to play Doha instead of Dubai. There you go, and welcome to Talking Tennis, Talks Contracts.
Of course, one Spaniard that was good in the grass was Feliciano Lopez, Queen's winner.
Absolutely. Queen's doubles winner as well.
Yeah, with Andy, right?
With Andy. Fantastic.
Well, Shelton holds on there. The prediction was wrong.
Interesting what Matthew's saying in the chat. We wouldn't be saying a Spaniard was great at grass if they hadn't changed the speed of the courts at Wimbledon. I mean, there's some truth to that. It's not totally serve dominated anymore. If it were, then I think it's unlikely Alcaraz would be maybe even winning. His serve's good, but obviously there's better serves in the tour. But
if it was serve dominated, then Petri Pericard would just be winning Wimbledon. But I just, it's never as simple as that. I think it's still heavily serve. I think a big serve definitely helps or an effective serve, not a big serve, an effective serve, because there's a difference. But I still think that the courts are fast enough that a effective serve is more dominant than, say, someone like, I don't know, Musetti, who doesn't have the biggest serve, but is definitely still a very good grass court player. Obviously made Wimbledon semi-finals. Pretty standard Sinner service game.
Yeah. It's just in any of these. Although the last Shelton service game was quite comfortable, but it just feels like the match is going to perpetually play out in this dynamic. Sinner holds fairly comfortably. There's the odd Shelton game where he's under a little bit of pressure, and eventually that pressure will tell, I think. 67% of first serve points won for Shelton is okay, but it's just that will eventually tip over to 1 in 3 points lost on first serve. That's too many.
Yeah, especially with someone that has as big a first serve as Shelton does.
Yeah. That's a great question from Sean. I like that. Who could adapt to having to serve volley all the time the best. I think, yeah. So yeah, what Sean's saying there is, if it was old school Wimbledon conditions, who would we see winning Wimbledon most likely? I would say Novak, because Novak can serve volley very well.
His volleys are also. I'd also had to say that I think Alcaraz's volleys are pretty neat as well.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, it's true.
And he has the athleticism to get to the net quite consistently throughout a match.
Yeah,
and also you could see he would love the idea of hitting such awkward, brilliant volley winners at the net and getting on the highlights reel. I mean, that has Alcaraz written all over it.
Yeah, I say Alcaraz or not. Probably more likely Alcaraz actually, because he's just obviously the safer bet given injuries and stuff. So I'd say Alcaraz then. Sinner's kind of getting there. It's all a bit awkward for Sinner. Just looks like he's not quite as compact going up to the net, obviously being so gangly, and it's quite difficult for him to make it look as easy as Alcaraz makes it look.
No, Sinner's more, the baseline is his friend. That's the place he likes to be the most.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Kyrgios this year? Do you think he'll literally play all 4 slams and then call it a day?
I'd be very surprised if he plays any tennis ever again, really.
Yeah.
He said he's desperate to play Wimbledon, but...
To be honest, Fergus, I'm desperate to play Wimbledon, but I know my chances are going to be pretty slim.
Yeah, I know, but you didn't make the final a couple of years ago, so I feel like they're not going to be as lenient towards you.
That's true.
No, fair point.
He's entered his influencer era, and I think that's going to be him now.
Yeah, I think he's effectively irrelevant now, to be honest.
After such a big build-up, it was a real shame. I mean, obviously the injury helped it, hampered him, but I mean, Fernley kind of took him to the cleaners, to be honest. I mean, it wasn't really that close.
Well, what you had there, well, I think what needs to remember, I mean, Fernley is an exceptional talent, or certainly has an exceptional game to him for somebody who was getting himself onto the main tour for the first time this year. It was actually, it wasn't, as much as he made a bit of a snarky statement saying he was getting outserved by a challenger player. It was probably one of the worst players he possibly could have drawn, which was a player who he knew relatively little about, who had such an exceptional year. Damien, I think, had him joint the joint best challenger player of the year last year, who is going to make waves on the main tour. He's going to make waves on the main tour this year. I mean, he that was probably one of the worst players he possibly could have got, because it's very hard for him to get up for that match. It wasn't as though he was playing a seeded player, and then he could have really got the crowd and himself pumped up for that match. It was somebody unseeded who was very, very dangerous, and he didn't know how to deal with him really. And the only mix-up was Fernley getting broken in the midway through the third set when he was a break-up, and apart from that, Fernley did what he needed to do, which is be super consistent. I think it also helped Fernley the fact that he played and won a lot of challenges in France and beat a lot of French players, and those crowds can get incredibly rowdy as well. That and his college ties means that he knows how to deal with hostile crowds.
Yeah, he also went to college in the US, so it makes it.
Yeah, that's obviously going to help. I mean,
yeah,
it should help him when they playing Davis Cup soon, isn't he?
Yeah,
yeah, playing. Sorry, Fergus, carry on.
No, he'll probably play second seed over Harris, even though Harris has played before. I think it'll be Fernley, and then Norrie plays Nishikori probably.
Thing is, he'll definitely be second seed because he's ranked higher than Harris.
Yeah, I know, but it was whether they would pick Harris over Fernley because Harris has played for GB before.
I think you have to go for your best.
That was the only doubt I had.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's a system where they play 5 matches, don't they? It's what was that?
Sorry, I just seen it as love 50 and I'm
Love-
behind you guys.
No, it's love 30 now.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, hello.
Find a good stream.
Well, the only reason I'm saying it's love 30 is because of Sinner misses the forehand because of the live ticker in the corner.
Yeah, I'm just seeing
It's just turned love 30 on my stream, but it's love 30 a little while ago. But yeah, it's a best of 5 system, so 4 singles and then 1 doubles if needed. So
I could see maybe Leon having let Burnley play the first match, and if it goes well, then he can play the second match. But if it goes a bit wrong, then he can go back to Harris if need be.
Shelton will be annoyed about that. He was in the rally as well at love 30 and then just buried a forehand into the net, unfortunately for his sake.
Huge chance, exactly what I was getting on about earlier. Just struggle something to flatten it out. Pure unforced error there.
11 forehand unforced errors there for Shelton.
2 break points.
Stop looking at the ticker.
I'm not looking at the ticker. Oh, Sinner just going for it. This reminds me a bit of the I can't remember, I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Aussie that he played in round 2 that he dropped to the first set 2-6-4 after he had a terrible yeah. After he had a terrible service game at 5-4 and was love 40 down. It's just reminding me of that. Shelton with 2 opportunities.
Oh, great return from Shelton.
And Sinner misses.
Oh,
and
he gets the
Shelton
breaks.
Massive. Okay.
That's an upset. Also, that's a shot.
Or the odds that Sinner just stands on the baseline returning this Shelton's first serve, just crushing it with no worries.
Well, coming into the net there and rushing Sinner a bit there, but
which is strange because if you usually when Sinner's got the fast ball, Sinner is so much better in a rush situation than nearly anyone on tour. Sinner always looks prepared to deal with the rush ball. It's like they were comparing Sinner and Alcaraz when they played in Indian Wells. Alcaraz is absolutely crushing the ball, and Sinner's crushing it straight back with even more because Sinner's more prepared than someone like Alcaraz is when the ball has a lot more topspin on it and a lot more speed. So I'm surprised that Sinner's actually handed over his serve there because, yes, it was a good return from Shelton, but as seen earlier on in the set, that's something that I'd expect Sinner to neutralise if he's keeping the standards that he's set so highly in this tournament and over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, 100% a drop in that service game overall. That was maybe 4 points where the quality was lower than Sinner standards. So he's going to have to get back on the horse here if he's expecting to keep his level up at least. You know, even if he loses this set, the level's got to rise a little bit. Otherwise, this could spill over into the second set.
Well, right, if Shelton's going to win this, he needs to take the first set.
Ben Shelton coming up to serve for the set.
It's good serve.
Start.
I told you Sinner will be on the baseline returning his first serve, but that's he's played that point well.
That was a good one too, yeah. Does he go wide or T here? It's a big point. T, okay. Flat T. I think he goes wide.
He goes T and he goes long. Second serve.
Yeah.
Thanks, well done.
I'm actually in the Ben Shelton camp.
Oh, that just landed in.
Woof. Great shot.
Yeah.
What a smash. Right. Sinner saying, you're not going anywhere, Big Ben.
Yeah, so the reason I asked that question, Ferguson, it's super interesting that Shelton then misses the serve. It's like he feels the pressure to go big to small spots, and then he misses. It's like, great, you can hit it 20 kilometers an hour. You've got to make it under pressure.
Yeah, Shelton's just thinking. I mean, like, how good is that from Sinner?
I mean, he came to the net. He was stranded in no man's land there, Shelton, and Sinner just said, "I'll swing this past
serve
you."
Right down the tee. You know what? He might have actually, because he committed to the serve and volley. It was pretty simple for Sinner to put that away. If Shelton hadn't committed to serve and volley, it would have been a short ball. I mean, it's super easy saying that from here, but like,
I know, yeah. But again, that's like 30 kilometers an hour slower than the other serve because he needed to get it in.
Oh no!
That's a miss. That's a miss. It basically it was like Shelton handed it to him on a plate there, and he just had way too much power on that.
Oh,
who do you guys want to win this match? By the way,
for the sake of the final, Sinner.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely make a better final for sure.
Yeah, Shelton's Zverev, I could probably see like 6-4, 4-3.
Yeah, looking at percentage-wise, there's a better chance of a Sinner Zverev match being a bit of an epic than a Shelton Zverev match.
Great second serve from Shelton. Set point.
He's not coping. That's the only part of the serve that actually Sinner's not coping well with is the body serves.
Yeah. Maybe he'll go body more regularly now on big points. Like, I don't suppose he'll go body here, but T. I know he goes up wide.
I mean, Sinner's right on the baseline. His opponent is well behind his own baseline.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Sinner's going to drop shot him in a minute. Oh,
no need at all. Just become he is the conductor at that baseline, moving Shelton from one side to another.
Great point. Really well played. I just looked like he was up on the point the whole time.
Shelton was always hanging on in that rally, and Shelton would be lowest ranked major winner for a while. Well, yeah, I don't think Shelton would beat Zverev. This would almost nail on it as Zverev slam finally, I think, if Shelton did beat Sinner somehow.
Good return.
That's got to be Shelton's slowest second serve that he's hit today.
There's a drop shot you were talking about, Fergus.
Yeah, just wasn't.
Oh, and he gets drop shotted back. He doesn't read it. He actually goes further back behind the baseline, Sinner, for the first time in that rally.
It wasn't good enough to approach on, so he was trying to give himself room, but
no good that drop shot there from Sinner.
A bit of a bailout. Again, so easy to say from here. I would have hit it about a meter close to the net, but you know. Another set point.
And another missed first serve.
Yeah. He hasn't found a first serve when it mattered. Like on set point or break point. That's a great second serve though, even though Sinner's made it look like and Shelton's
but he's just whacked it out though. I mean,
serve +1, exactly what we were talking about.
Yep.
Trying to shorten the point. And it went very, very long as well. Wasn't even close.
I was talking to Isabel and Rachel about Shelton. And do you think he needs to have a coach that isn't his dad to like drastically improve? Because it's like, do you think it's slightly narrow-minded views?
Or Sinner has a break
for the rest of his career.
Same thing again. That's a good question, Fergus. It's hard to say without knowing the ins and outs of what goes on behind the scenes, right? It's very easy for us to kind of point and say, "Oh, sits a pass, etc., etc." And his game not progressed, but realistically, his dad's got him to where he is. A lot of his game can be attributed to that success. So it's a difficult question. I couldn't say for sure. Oh, okay.
That's a real surprise from Sinner there. I did not expect that backhand to be hit long.
I don't know if the dad needs to go, but probably another voice wouldn't hurt.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I don't think that he should drop his dad as coach. No, I think that there should just be another voice in there somewhere as Shelton misses a 7 volley at the net.
I very much would say bring someone else in at the moment. Have maybe like a Wayne Pereira could be a really good person for Shelton to bring into the team. As I said, a very experienced coach, worked with a range of other players on the tour, knows the American players quite well.
Yeah. Did Wayne do work with Tia?
It's a tie break.
It is a tie break. Sinner saves the break.
Nice.
That's like 4 of those loopy forehands that just like went sailing past the baseline, by the way. So it's like even rally tolerance or trying to go more aggressive, whatever it is, just the shape of that ball does not do him any favors sometimes.
I'll tell you something. I think this is the most emotion I've seen in Sinner from like in the last 6 months on the court at the moment.
No, in Cincinnati when he won against Zverev, he was very animated. He was very animated when he won against Zverev in Cincinnati. But since then,
he was pretty animated. I think against Rune when he won like the set, he was just like giving it like a proper fist pump. Not quite smiling, but he was like very pumped up.
I don't think I've actually seen Sinner like truly smile since the
not in the court.
Scandal. No. I feel like he really feels as though he has to play his best tennis all the time now after this scandal. Unfortunately.
Oh, Ben, you're in control of that rally. What was that?
Thing kind of flatten it out, misses by an inch.
Anyone giving Shelton a hope in this tiebreak, says Matthew. No, not really.
I give a hope. I don't expect, but I give a hope.
I mean, Sinner has raised his level. That
7-3.
100% he was better in that return game. So interesting tiebreak success records. I don't know if you guys are getting that on your screen.
That's a shocker. That's a shocker.
Oh dear.
Yeah, Sinner's won both of his tiebreaks this Australian Open, and Shelton's won 5 of his 7 tiebreaks this Australian Open.
We had 3 of them with Monfils, so
poor miss, and surely Sinner gets this done.
Well, if Sinner gets too many break points, that's all she wrote.
Which is exactly what happens.
But it's gone.
Shelton's tightened up in this tiebreak after having 2 set points.
Well, he was feeling his back there. That was interesting.
He's going to pull a Novak, call it after the first set tiebreak.
God, that would be
probably the most underwhelming semi-finals of all time.
Literally of all time. After an absolute classic on the women's side between Keys and Swiatek, we just got out 2 absolute stinkers on the men.
Yeah. Sinner being world number 1 under pressure, just get it done though.
He deals with pressure like the compact snow from the town he came from.
Wow. Strong.
What is it? Wow, that was...
Yeah, what's his hometown?
It's from Tyrol, isn't it? The north of Italy. I don't know this town. Is it? Say that again, James?
I watched his documentary on Eurosport before the Australian Open. I think it's called Sexton.
Yeah. Good place to go skiing.
Shelton's got to take this point on the second serve, and he's gone for it, and he's missed it.
Is he? Big question now is actually, can he prevent being bageled in the tiebreaker?
No.
It's just forehand after forehand. It's literally, I think it's been 5 forehand misses. Maybe by the first point.
I think it has been 5 forehand misses. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just not consistent enough to get through a matchup like this. And
oh, he's got a point. He's got a point. He actually played a little bit more sensible there, Shelton. I can see. I think that was Fergus shut his glass down in disgust at the fact that he didn't go for another wicked winner.
John really likes Shelton, doesn't he? Good start from Shelton. That second point is exactly how he needs to play it, even though he lost it.
I don't know how much of a fan is John of Shelton. I thought
he was saying in the chat before that he rates him because of his slam performances.
Yeah.
He said he's a Ben believer, he said.
When did it were at the French? Where did he go out last year? Round 3?
That rings a bell. It wasn't
Hold the line, caller. Hold the line, caller. Let me have a look.
No, it was to someone that someone not it wasn't a seed. I think it was.
It was the third round. He lost to Auger Aliassime in straight sets.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And then he went out round 3 to Sinner in Wimbledon. And round was it
Wimbledon? Wimbledon. He went out in the 4th round to Sinner straight sets,
and then 3rd round in the US, wasn't it, to Tiafoe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the couple of Australian. Why am I saying Australian? US players that chose to not go to the French or to go to the Olympics and just decided to play things like the City Open and whatnot. And got to the semi-finals of the City Open and got a couple of all right results, but nothing groundbreaking that you'd expect for making that sort of decision.
Yeah. 3 cheers for Sonego. He had a great tournament. I agree. Shout out Sonego. He's had a great tournament.
He is the next gen killer.
No, that's Cam Norrie.
Yeah, it is Cam Norrie as well. All I'm saying is Cam beat Leonard Tien and beat Lorenzo Sonego in Hong Kong before the Australian Open. Who's the better player?
We can keep fighting this ship till it sinks, but we'll leave that. We all love. Who doesn't love Cam Norrie?
Damien.
And that is game and first set, Sinner.
It's going to be a 4-hand miss.
7-2.
Yeah. 4-hand miss. So 7-6. Pretty comfortable.
I think that's 6 forehand misses from Shelton.
He's just so good, Sinner, though.
Yeah, he is.
As far as I'm concerned, that's the match.
Yeah.
Very much.
Right, so we're now going to turn this into the preview show for the Jannik Sinner versus Alexander Zverev final. How do we think it's going to go?
The one thing I was going to say before we do that set point from Sinner was probably the biggest point of the set there. The one on the tie break for Shelton, the rally that went on for quite a while. I'm trying to remember how it ended now. But that summed it up. I mean, Sinner raised his level at one point.
I don't think I'd ever seen a Ben Shelton service game, him only winning 62% of first serves.
It's ridiculous.
That's alarmingly low for a guy who has such a big serve.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you have such a good returner on the
Sinner is
and statistically, Sinner isn't even the best returner on tour, which I think is a bit of a cop out because he definitely is.
He is, yeah.
Is Alcaraz statistically the best returner?
No, it's Dimonor.
Dimonor, really? Right.
Yeah, statistically,
Well-
he brings up the most break points and takes the most break points.
Right. Okay.
It's like 45.2% or something.
Yeah, and they have that like ATP stats leaderboard. I looked at it before. Alex de Minaur is number 1, Alcaraz 2, Sinner 3, Djokovic 4. I mean, I mean those guys. Who you pick is like it's your preference almost, but
yeah. I mean, de Minaur's a great returner, but I'm not convinced he's the best returner at all.
He's not, is he? He's
no,
definitely
yeah.
He'll make a lot of returns, but like, again, it's what you suggested earlier, Fergus, with like an effective serve. Is de Minaur's return effective all the time? And compared to Sinner's, I would say it's less effective for sure.
De Minaur doesn't crush returns onto the baseline.
No, and one of the reasons he does well, and is because he's fast as well. So once he gets into the return game, then he can sort of grind his way in and get the point. But as an actual returner, you definitely put those other 3 above him.
Yeah.
Who wins in a 100-yard sprint between Alcaraz and de Minaur, though? That's a better question.
I do think de Minaur is slightly faster. Even if Alcaraz is like more explosive sometimes, and if you got them to both move at the same time, then I think de Minaur maybe wins it. He's probably a bit faster pound for pound.
Do you think Sinner will be able to make Zverev watchable? Well, as it's the Oz Open final, I hope so.
It's a weird one always with Zverev, where because of his game, it doesn't seem that appealing. But then he was involved in some of the best matches, 2 or 3 of the best matches of last year. So it's just always this weird oxymoron with him.
What matches? I'm trying to recall.
You talk about Medvedev in the semi-final here last year.
Medvedev in the semi-final, that was a good one. The Arthur Thies final in Hamburg, that was a good one. I think the Sinner match in Cincinnati, that was a really good one as well. And also, you probably would say the Alcaraz final in at the French Open as well. That was a real epic. So, a number of those big matches, those big, really great matches, he's somehow been involved with, even though he has a game that suggests that it should be seen as a good match or an entertaining match.
Well, he is the world number 2, so you would hope that he'd be involved in these big matches, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I suppose that's easy to say, but then some players just have game styles that don't suit me personally, and Zverev's one of them. Even though he's the number 2 in the world.
I think one of the times I've been most impressed with Zverev actually was when he injured himself against Alcaraz. Not Alcaraz, Nadal. That
was a good game. It was very sloggy, to be fair, but it was still a good game.
Yeah.
Some of the rallies were going on for a ridiculous amount of shots. In that.
Sinner might have just hit the baseline, I think, 6 times in the last 2 points. That's ridiculous. As in off defensive slice, Sinner's hit the baseline like 6 times.
He is like the Robin Hood of tennis, just finding the way he wants to put it every single time.
Great stat from Matthew in the comments there. Sinner won that set, only hitting 47% of his first serves. I don't know how to put that into context, but it's really, really bad news for Shelton.
Anyone hitting 47% on their first serve, you expect the returner to win that. But
it's out.
It's like when in Paris last year when that's not a good.
That's terrible. Oh my god! Not only was it too high, but it didn't even go over the net. Jesus.
Yeah, Pecci Pericard won that first set against Kachanov, winning 2 points against serve.
Oh yeah.
As in, literally, the only 2 points he won against serve were in the tiebreak, and that was a weird one.
But theoretically, all you need to do is win 1 point on your opponent's return on your opponent's service game in the entire set, and you could win the set.
Yeah, but then you have to think about serving really well and not getting broken
Yeah.
off the end. If you're not going to give yourself even a chance at the other end.
You have to think
This is
about
more-
the audience. I mean, come on! Oh my god!
Yeah,
Like,
what, you're just gonna let it go past, just ace every single time.
It's just horrendous tennis sometimes. So Petchy Pericard on a grass court, for example, is going to be a name.
Petchy Pericard, what? Sinner break point immediately. I don't know why I said Petchy Pericard.
I mean, he can serve like the Pesci Pericard. Just side to side, side to side, cross court again, up the line. Slice from Shelton, cross court from Sinner. Oh, taps off the net.
There you go.
Up the
Bang.
line. And there we go. Break point, or break up for Jannik Sinner.
Yeah, that's brutal. That was a 40-15 advantage there as well, and let it slip with 4 points in a row. Not quite 4 points in a row, but still might as well have been. It's just gone in the blink of an eye. Setting a break up now. Should be playing Sailing.
Jan Sinner.
Yeah, to think 15 minutes ago he was looking to be a set up, and now, as you say, a set down and a breakdown. It just shows how quickly in this, it's the old saying, but how quickly things can change in this sport.
Totally. I mean, it felt like even if Sinner had lost that set, there was going to be another gear to tap into, and we'd see this tennis we're seeing now. It never felt like, I'm sure all of you felt like that, even if Shelton won that first set, it was going to be in 4.
Yeah, we'll see if Sinner can, because he obviously wasn't serving that well in the first set. Let's see if he can pull off a good service game here.
Yeah, he wasn't serving that well, and yet he still, I don't think there was obviously those 2 service games where he got broken twice, but someone that's serving 47% only getting broken twice is, yeah.
That Shelton forehand did not deserve to win.
I mean, it looped so high up, I thought it was going to turn into a rainbow there.
Matthew saying apparently Zverev was aggressive with his forehand in the first few rounds and then reverted to standard, basically. I'd certainly expect Zverev to be, well, he should be, as always, very easy to say from here, but should be a bit more aggressive against Zverev. Sinner even won't be, and probably will get found out in the long run.
Well, the fans will be pleased to know now that this match has gone on longer than the first semi-final. I just thought I'd put that in there.
Thanks, there, James.
Cool.
What are the odds that Sinner saves 5 match points against Zverev in the final, and Zverev still doesn't get over the line?
I think, and yeah, I do. I don't think 5 match points, but obviously, but certainly, I agree. I think there'll be moments where Zverev could pull ahead and he doesn't. And then,
I fully expected that match for Zverev to pull ahead. Certainly, I would expect him to win the first set, but then it is then a case of seeing what would happen from that point onwards.
I don't think anybody's lost their first 3 slam finals in 5 sets every time, right?
No.
I mean, if he lost, assuming that Sinner gets through here, there's a good chance he loses again. Zverev, that was 3 finals lost. Does he start looking for another coach? Does he?
Yeah.
Well, that will pull him as the. What's funny to me is that Ruud technically has a better Grand Slam record because he's reached 3 finals.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me because Ruud isn't even on the same wavelength as Zverev is.
Mm.
Well, you would probably say now. You probably would say now that Zverev now has the better record because he's won more sets in those Grand Slam finals.
Yeah,
because I think
he's in his third
Rude only won one set in his 3 Grand Slam finals, and that was against Alcaraz at the US Open.
Yeah.
Whereas Zverev has 4 sets under his belt from Grand Slam finals.
It's a great stat on Eurosport again. I'm just trying to see if that's for his career. I can't see or not, but it said Sinner wins 96% of the sets he wins after getting the early break. 96% of the sets he plays, after getting the early break.
Well, it's juice on the Sinner serve. Shelton trying to puncture a hole.
Well, juicy.
I mean, what are the odds that Shelton breaks right back? After we've said, yeah, like it's done.
You've not been looking at live widgets again, have you, Fergus?
I actually hadn't until I just did, as you said that. And something tells me someone's got a break point, which he does. Well,
yeah, I mean, Sinner just at 50% in this second set in the serves.
Uncharacteristic forehand miss in that last point. Let's see if Sinner can get back to basics here.
I'm not going to look at the live ticket for this point.
I'm trying not to either. Big serve out wide. This rally obviously was on for a while.
Oh, hey.
Very helpful noises from you, James.
I feel like Shelton's a mess. I could be wrong.
Oh, jeez. This way and that. He's on the Roman ropes.
Is he?
And he hits it out.
He nailed it?
Out.
No.
No. That's as unforced as they come.
Oh my God. I mean, that encapsulates what it probably feels like to play Jannik Sinner. You think you've got him. He's keeping it. He's literally sticking in there as much as possible. And the time you have to put in the killer blow, you go and miss.
He had 80% of the court to work with. And
it didn't need to be that good. It didn't need to be that good.
Yeah, but when you play Jannik Sinner, it feels like it has to be that good. You have that feeling in the back of your mind that Sinner's going to cover 3/4 of the court to then somehow defensively lob you.
Oh, and then a wayward forehand into the net gives Sinner a game point. Right, Sinner going to make it 2-love. Ball in the air. Goes down the tee. Backhand by Ben. Backhand by Sinner. Forehand up the line by Ben. Forehand by Sinner. All at the baseline at the moment. Backhand by Sinner. Backhand by Ben. Just pushes him a bit longer. Slice from Ben. Cross court from Sinner. Cross court from Ben. Both doing cross court exchanges, moving between forehands and backhands. All Ben's sort of in the lead. But it's a good deep one from Sinner. Slice from Ben. Down the line, up the line from Shelton. Sinner just about gets to it. Ben comes forward. Sinner goes to the cross court into the body of Ben. Gets over.
He's pushed it long.
Down the line. It kind of failed. Oh, he kind of felt Sinner was going to do that, but it just didn't work out.
Excellent commentary.
Is that all right? I tried my best there.
Oh.
For a second there, I thought Ben somehow managed to hit the ball into Sinner's private parts, but luckily not. The way he was keeled over.
Sinner done a lot of keeling over. I've noticed.
It's just.
I mean, how many shots was that rally?
I'd say over 25.
Yeah,
it felt like a lot.
It was a lot. I'm not getting. I hate when they start saying there's something wrong with him, and I mean he's probably fine. He's just tired after a long rally.
It's been a long 2 weeks. Give the guy a break.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's been that long than 2 weeks for this guy. I mean, he's just turning off on court and hitting for 2 hours and then going home. Apart from that Runa match, but that's about it.
But even then, the sets were quite quick in that Runa match. Like, I don't think it actually went beyond 2.5 hours.
What's he dropped 2 sets in this tournament?
Yeah, to an Aussie sensation and a hot-headed Dane.
Do you guys think Runa will ever reach the heights they did in Paris 3 years ago? Or
yeah, I think for me, you know, if you look at a guy like Shelton who has the potential but hasn't shown us he can definitely reach it. Runa shown us he's got that game. It's pretty much been mental. It's been like tactical as well, trying to decide what to do at the right time. And yeah, I could see Runa getting back to that level for sure. It's just like he's just young.
I mean, in the short term, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him maybe winning one of the Clay Court Masters events in one of the build-ups, because he's got close before, and you know, we live in a world where Tsitsipas, Rublev, and Zverev were able to win one of those free build-up events last year. I think, you know, they could be open to anyone who's good on the surface to be able to pick one of those up. Grand Slams, though, not a question. Just given the players that are at the top of the game at the moment.
do you reckon Tsitsipas defends his title in Monte Carlo?
Yes, he scams it every year, doesn't he? I
don't think it's coincidental he's won as many times as he has there. It's, you know, the conditions are perfect for him.
I think what could be, I mean, well, it's almost the case of every year he needs to win it to at least hold some sort of decent ranking. I mean, if he doesn't defend the title this year, he will drop out the top 20.
Yeah, the players he's been losing to, it's not much of a surprise.
Oh my God, it's so
he's in a situation where if he doesn't, the points that he picked up from Monte Carlo and Barcelona last year, effectively near enough make up half his ranking.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm not gonna double check that, but I'm just gonna, you know,
have a look. Yeah, I mean, it's not completely half, but it's just short of half. As you can see, Sinner at the moment is sniffing to try and get a double break here.
His returns are always so well placed, Sinner. It's crazy.
It's just defensively. I mean, okay, he didn't win that point, but he's just so solid.
Yeah, he's great on that forehand variation. Like, sometimes he can hit when he needs to, and it's super low. Then he can just hit through it the next ball. It's insane.
Brilliant ball to the baseline. Shelton unable to do anything about it. Back to deuce.
Yeah, too good.
Oh, and that was nowhere near. That was the first serve, and that was nowhere near the service box, and it was incredibly slow. that backhand down the line.
Yeah, so good. That's beautiful.
It feels illegal. I mean,
we haven't actually seen many plays like that, kind of going back behind, trying to inject a little pace.
No.
Sinner's basically played cross, fairly conservative throughout the match, and it's generally been enough. A lot to do with that forehand of Shelton's.
Cross court. Oh, and a wild one from Ben. And hey presto, Jannik Sinner has got his insurance break. And I think now we can say that the second set is pretty much in the books at this stage. Famous last words as we will now see Ben Shelton winning the next 6 games in a row, and I look like a mug saying that, making that statement, but
nah.
Right, this is my time to go, guys. I was meant to go a wee bit ago, but I thought I'd wait for a little break and play. Great to see everybody. Enjoy the rest of the match.
Cheers, Jack.
No worries. See everybody soon.
See ya.
Sarah.
It's not quite fair to say that it makes up half his ranking.
No,
he may go to the 4th round of Indian Wells. He got to the quarterfinals in Cincinnati. And there are points where there are decent points made. He made the quarters in Rome, and obviously the quarters in the French.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that he's got his current ranking. He has 3,005 points on the live ranking. 1,000 of those points are from Monte Carlo. 330 points from that come from Barcelona. Effectively meaning that he would only have around about 1,600 points, just over 1,600 points, if he doesn't get any points at all from those 2 tournaments.
Yeah, but the likelihood that he loses first round is pretty slim. I'd still back him on a clay court to beat most top 50 players.
No, I'm just saying on the worst case scenario, it's as you say, you pointed out some other good results in terms of from Rome and French Open and whatnot. You've got a situation where, barring the odd hard court tournament here or there, the vast majority of his points are made up on the clay, and that's a lot of pressure, especially when you're going to be seeded to meet one of the top 10 players in the 4th round at most of these events at the moment. That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah,
for one section of the season, and if he gets a hamstring injury or something that could put him out of the game for a month or 2. That's that's danger zone.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that surprising if he did take a little bit of a tumble down the rankings, but maybe he needs it to sort of.
Yeah, because it's not like he's like running out of time or anything. He's 26, 27.
Yeah, 26 years of age. Problem is that he's even stated though his hunger and motivation to do well just isn't as severe as it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I reckon that's just because of a lack of results.
I'm a bit surprised that he hasn't decided. Okay, I'm good on the clay. I need to build up some. I'm good on the clay. I need to build up some time to. What's the word I'm trying to find? I'm good on the clay. I need to build up some confidence because I'm not getting any wins at the moment. Why don't I go and play the the South American clay court swing? That sort of thing. Because there are playing some lower ranked players on the clay court,
and then he does it, and he gets drawn against Fonseca first round.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, he's I think he's down to play in Doha as the 8th seed. He's also going to play. He's not down to play in Rotterdam. I don't think he's down to play in Dallas. No, he's not. So he's not playing for a couple weeks. Yeah, I think his next tournament is Doha on the 10th of Feb.
Is it?
I mean, we know Doha because they got that 500 upgrade this year, have really gone all out in terms of big appearance fees for a lot of big players to attend their tournament this year.
That lineup is ridiculous. Like the Rotterdam lineup is grim.
Ridiculous,
Grim.
Grim. What do you mean grim?
As in
grim good or grim bad?
No, grim good. As in like
grim good.
Someone a top 40 player, like someone that's ranked like 30 to 40, will be looking at that thinking, well, there's literally no chance I make it past round 2 at a push.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely filthy. I mean, you can have a situation where Jack Draper, who is, I mean, at the moment Hurkacz is in the 8th position, but Draper will overtake him. 16 in the world is going to be the cutoff point for the seeding for a 500. I mean,
so Rotterdam's the week after next, is it?
Yeah. It's a third.
We've got Montpellier, Davis Cup, and Singapore and Linz on the women's tour next week, and then the week after that is then Rotterdam
and Dallas. Dallas is looking so much nicer.
Yeah, if you wanted to make a cheeky run to a set quarterfinal or a semi-final, that's the tournament you realistically wanted to have entered.
Yeah,
I think like the see this scheduling so weird. Like, I mean, Doha and like again, then afterwards we have Dubai. Is it?
Yeah,
after. But then it's like
hard to buy, and then
after that it's the the American
Sunshine Double.
Yeah, and it's just like that's so far away. Like, I mean, that's probably why they have to pay them like so much to play. But it's just like
the thing is, given the way that the tournaments work, you can like Doha and Dubai finish on the Saturday because of how local customs in the area work. Meaning that you can finish on a Saturday, and usually the people who are going to get to the final of a 500 are going to be seeded in the Sunshine Double, so they won't play probably until the Friday or the Saturday the next week. So they can get pretty much a week's rest between one tournament and another. I know there's some sort of like weird exhibition that's taking place on the 1st and 2nd of March that's been announced, which could fill the gap between those two time periods, but it's. It's certainly a case that I think it's certainly made it a bit more of an easier schedule for players to choose. You could do Rotterdam, take a week off, and then do Doha and Dubai at 500, all at the 500 level, and then you're going to pick up decent points throughout.
Yeah,
but I mean, it actually makes it a little bit probably more difficult for the American players because then they kind of force themselves that they have to play Dallas and Delray because they're going to have a week off in between Delray taking place in Acapulco. So. It's probably a little bit more kinder for those who choose the European Middle East leg than the all North American leg.
Yeah, I mean, it's always just going to be a bit like that. But it's just, some players, they're going from Australia and then they're back in Europe or Middle East and then they're off to like California, and it's just like, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I just don't think it's that good for you either. You usually get players get sick and stuff, but yeah.
Well, this is always the time of year when, certainly, I say this is the time of year from next week. It's the time of year when like tournaments take place all over the world, and it feels very bitty. But it's a good chance for a lot of players that may not necessarily have had a good Australian swing to try and pick up some momentum. Some players to maybe get deep runs in tournaments they didn't necessarily think they'd be able to get runs into. And it also means that some bigger players can play some smaller events, knowing that they're not jeopardizing their ability at some of the bigger events, which usually take place a week after a 250 or a 500.
And we've got the Challenger 175s as well during the Masters events, don't we? I think
we do.
Second week of in between the second week of Indian Wells is it Phoenix? I think
Phoenix, yeah, and then is there one during Miami?
I don't think there is one during Miami. I think they go straight because then it's just if any players that lose out in Miami at that stage will probably want, if they're going to go play challenges, they go to clay court ones to start to get skills in the clay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but I think Axe de Provence is still a 175, and we know that this year that Estoril is going to be a 175 for 1 year only before it goes back to being a 250 event on the main tour.
Yeah, that's during. Well, there's one during Madrid, right?
Yeah, I think
in between Madrid and Rome.
Yeah,
Madrid and Rome. That's it, right? Well, this match is. I mean, this set's gone.
As you can probably gather, audience members who are listening in, just Sinner at the moment is 4-1 up. It looks like he's going to take the set, and as such, we're now talking about challenges in April and May. You'll notice, Eddie. What's the? Do you know what the schedule's looking like in terms of the challenges in Asia over the next couple of months?
And Feb, they're all in India. Pretty much. I mean, well, there's like one in Myanmar, it's in Bahrain, isn't it? But then, yeah, and then April here in Korea, we've got Busan and Gwangju, and then I don't know after that because this challenger schedule doesn't go. It's not been released after April, so I have to wait and see.
Because I noticed that from a couple of years, at least the last couple of years, any player that doesn't necessarily want to play on the clay courts, they could go to Asia to play some hard court challenges during that Mediterranean clay court spring.
Yeah, those lower ranked players that don't like clay, they can just play some hard court tournaments in Korea or China or a few places. But I'm just waiting to see because usually the Seoul Challenger, which is obviously where I am, was always played in the springtime. But last year it was, and maybe the year before that, they've started putting it in the autumn. I personally prefer the springtime, but yeah.
Is it guaranteed better weather in the springtime?
It's both. I mean, both seasons are pretty good. It used to actually be good because it would coincide with a holiday here. Because they put it like the beginning of May. Yeah. So yeah, but then no,
I had a similar boat with Surbiton. It used to be during May half term, so I was able to go during the week, and that's how I got to saw Andy Murray so many times when he played that week. And then all of a sudden, because of the calendar moving back a week, it shoved it into normal education time. So it meant that I couldn't go during the week, which was disappointing. Sorry, that was just a slight deviance there to me. Sorry about that, Eddie.
It's all right. Yeah, well, there's tennis all over the world, all the time, every week.
I mean, I am going to look forward to next week when the main tour gets back to Europe, and I'm going to be able to watch some Montpellier in the evening and whatnot. It's there is a point in which, I mean, I love the Australian swing. I think it's one of the best in terms of its marketing campaign and whatnot, and the feel and whatnot. But blooming hell, there's a point in the day where you go, it's now midday and there's no tennis for like the third week in a row. I'm like, please, can there not just be something on in the evening or in the afternoon?
Yeah. Europe's not too bad for me here in Asia because Europe, the sort of daytime matches are on like evening here, so it's like it's not too bad. But yeah, when it's in the US, horrible. It's just when I'm in bed, when you're supposed to be in bed anyway. All the matches.
I'm guessing all you can. It's a bit like the Australian swing to Europeans, where during the daytime matches it's just a no go, but the nighttime sessions you get to watch in the morning.
You mean for you in the US?
Yeah, Asia to US.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true. Like some of the matches like it'll be on like sort of around breakfast time, the night matches, right? So yeah, that's not too bad. That's a guess. Yeah.
Matthew saying has Shelton shown enough that he could threaten the biggest names over the next 12 to 18 months? Yes, if you count the it depends. Biggest names. I'm not counting Sinner, Alcaraz, or Zverev as biggest names, but the rest, absolutely.
Sorry, Ed. Sorry, Fergus. I kept on butting in there. Agree. It depends on the tiering of big player. If it is Sinner, Alcaraz, and Zverev, then you're going to have to say no. You probably even put Djokovic into that camp. But if you're going to say names like maybe De Minaur or Rublev or
Rude,
Fritz or Rude, then absolutely he could go into them.
But I feel like he's already shown that he can sort of beat that quality of player. I mean, for him, it's like, how does he start beating these bigger guys? Like, he doesn't have to be beaten all the time, but at the moment it's just like, I mean, this match is going pretty much how a lot of people would have expected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this I had no doubts that Shelton could beat the likes of Rude and Rublev before. Oh, that's not great. Rude and Rublev before this tournament started. I believe he could have taken results off them. But Carlos and Jannik, no, I don't think he can compete. Maybe over 3 sets, he might be able to make it close in a couple of games. But I don't think consistently, I don't think he can compete. No.
Well, the problem he's got, certainly thinking against Sinner. Sinner is the best hardcourt player in the world, and this is the best surface that Shelton plays on. He's terrible on clay, so he's not going to be able to beat any of those two on clay. And he's not great on grass either. So you'd favour then Sinner and Alcaraz to beat him on grass. It's what surface do you think it could happen? I mean, you look at, you take Musetti, for example, you would feel as though on a grass court or maybe on a clay court, certainly best of 3, maybe even best of 5, he could potentially get a result against the Sinner. And then you look at Draper, certainly on the grass, you could see him beating Sinner maybe on the grass courts and running it well on maybe a hard court. But there is just no surface where you think there could be a leveler to give him that opportunity to try and beat one of these players.
Yeah, I mean,
and
he already played.
Sorry, Eddie, carry on.
I was just going to say, he already played Sinner on the grass court and he lost pretty badly. That was at Wimbledon last year, so.
And I feel like I'm being a little bit harsh to Sinner as well when I say about grass court, because he did win Halle, beating one of the best grass courters on the tour in Hurkacz in the final.
That's right.
Yeah, but you have to remember at that point, Hurkacz wasn't the same player that he was a year or so ago. Hurkacz is still great. Hurkacz is a great.
Strong.
Yeah, no. That tournament he was, yes, but I think he obviously had this injury problem, and now he's sort of just having a few injury issues with a new coach as well. I think
it's actually quite alarming. It's quite alarming how he hasn't really recovered since the injury, Hurkacz.
Yeah, I think he needs a couple more months, and then he might get back into the rhythm. But it doesn't seem
I think also Ben Shelton has just called for the trainer to come to the court.
Yeah, he has. He was feeling his hamstring just before the his last serve.
God, imagine he retired. Horrible.
Well, this kind of opens up a potential discussion, which is, given how physical the game has gone, is actually the fact that the men have to play best of 5 sets from the get-go actually hindering the levels that we're seeing at the back end of the big Grand Slam tournaments?
Possibly. And it would also be an argument for speeding up the courts. But yeah, I mean, I think we did talk about before a bit, Fergus, the idea of maybe the earlier rounds could possibly not be best of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about maybe the first 3 rounds being for best of 3. And Eddie suggested that it would produce more upsets in a sense. But I don't think that's the case. I think that 5-setters are fine. I think it's just been a bad case that obviously a 38-year-old Novak has played some long matches and that he's obviously struggling physically.
Yeah.
Sinner looks fine. As much as he looks like he was wincing a bit, he looks fine. Zverev looks absolutely fine.
But then you're naming some players that have been very what's the word I'm trying to find? Like lethal in the early rounds, just like getting through them in straight sets. where the amount of energy they've expelled is quite minimal. I'm just trying to think back, think about the Draper match, for example, where
but sorry,
is it I'll just start putting the arguments out there where if he didn't play best, okay, granted, if it wasn't best of 5, he probably would have lost in the first round. But let's take, for instance, say there were best of 3 matches that he played and he got to the 4th round. Would he have been in a much better physical shape to actually give a match to Alcaraz in that 4th round? Those sorts of. I think we may necessarily need to have a look this year to see, looking at the French, looking at Wimbledon, looking at the US, if we see more retirements or we see more real breaking downs of bodies from the 4th round, quarters, semis. That are we going into a situation where best of 5 is actually hampering the enjoyment of and the bigger matches that we've got in the on the tour, and not necessarily helping them anymore, at those early rounds.
I think it's a bit different with Draper this year. Hasn't played since October. That was his first match since Paris, where he lost to de Minaur. And he started hitting 10 days before the Oz Open. Like, you had to give some leeway to Draper, just as one example. Game and second set scenarios, he just makes it look really easy.
But I just feel as though we've had. I'm going to double check because I don't want to make silly comments. But we've had Djokovic who's retired because his body broke down. Any other ones that you point out? Gael Monfils had to retire against Ben Shelton. We said about
Also
Draper match. Dadovic Fokina, he was physically hampered in his match. Lerner Tien, he was physically hampered in his match against Sonego.
18 years old.
18. But there are some, I'm just saying some examples of where matches have kind of fallen by the wayside in that middle to later stage of the tournament because of the overload on players' bodies. In what is a game that's becoming more physical, players are hitting the ball harder with higher spin rates.
I've got an idea.
Go on, Eddie.
Sort of without going to best of 3, but they're sort of meeting halfway, which is instead of playing a 5th set, if it's 2 sets all, they just play a 10-point tiebreak, and that's how they decide it. At least, I don't know. No, maybe not for every match, but maybe like the first few rounds. I don't know if that would. I don't know if people will be into that, but it's an alternative.
I'm always with you when I want to keep best of 5. I think best of 5 is still the best format for tennis and the big events. I'm kind of coming around to the idea that potentially in the early rounds we don't necessarily need best of 5, and that maybe best of 3 would be a better option to have in the first couple of rounds or the first 3 rounds. But then as a trade-off from that, I feel as though, and I know it was a concept that was used a couple of decades ago, that in the latter stage of the Masters events, that they actually move to best of 5. So maybe the semi-finals and the finals of the Masters events, they go to best of 5 so that players can still be exposed to the best of 5 format, so that it's not too much of a shock when they actually play it at the slams.
Yeah, but then you counter-argue yourself saying it's too much for... it's too much on the body. You're saying it's too much on the body, but then you want to incorporate it more so that it's more used to it.
Yeah.
So you got to pick one or the other. It's either too much or it's too little.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go back to best of 5 at the Masters events. I just don't see that happening. But yeah, it is definitely. It has become much more physical. I mean, the players are so athletic now and able to draw out rallies. It's just crazy, actually, sometimes. But I don't know. I'll have to say. I mean, you're talking about some guys if Djokovic and Monfils, they're old, right?
Yeah.
and Lerner Tien on the other side is so young, so he's got to get better conditioned. He's hardly first time he played any 5-set matches, right? Was this tournament?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, sorry, no, he'd been in he'd been in the US Open before with the wild card, right? But I mean, yeah, I don't actually remember if he played a 5-set match, but yeah, obviously it's tough for him to go through 4 matches in one tournament.
How many other retirements have we had? Monfils, Djokovic, Draper, Davidovich, Fokina. Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, with Draper playing 3 5-set matches in a row, I mean, arguably he probably shouldn't have gone to 5, and he just wasn't playing well in that first match.
Game. Yeah,
yeah, but like you said, he obviously it'd been a while since he played, so you'd be forgiven for that. But
yeah, I think, and then obviously Tien, as Shelton holds to start the third.
He's gonna need to hold. He cannot any really, you know. It sounds like a very Michael Owen sort of statement to make, but he cannot get broken if he wants to have any success in this game anymore.
That is such a classic Michael Owen statement. Stating the absolute obvious.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get broken, then it might go to a tiebreak, and he might win the tiebreak, and then he'll win the set. Yeah, cheers to that, Michael.
I just realised halfway through saying that I realised that's sounded like Michael Owen there.
But yeah, I don't think this tournament's been a huge advocate for retirements. If you actually want to look at a tournament that's been an advocate for retirements, look at Madrid last year. I mean, literally everyone and their son was retiring in that tournament. I mean,
yeah.
John was talking about it earlier. Auger-Aliassime had maybe the easiest run to a Masters final ever with 3 retirements in a row. So, yeah. But this tournament hasn't been too bad. It's just been that there have been a couple big names that have had to pull out of matches due to various reasons.
It's one of those situations where it's going okay. We've had a tournament where we've had at least noticeable retirements in certain stages of the event, and we're going to need like a body of evidence. Maybe if a similar sort of thing happens at the French, or a similar sort of thing happens at the US Open or Wimbledon, then we can start to maybe then ask those questions. But it's just more putting it out there as okay, we know the game's getting more physical. We know it's getting a lot more stronger. Yeah, are we starting to see players' bodies breaking down on a more regular occurrence?
Yeah, are there actually statistics showing that there's more retirements now than like over time? Has it increased a lot? I mean,
that's a good question, and it'd be good. I'm sure someone somewhere is starting to compile some sort of data based on that one.
Madison Keys eager prediction. I didn't make a wild prediction. That was Zach that said it'd be 24-26 in a third set tiebreak.
I did feel at the start that Keys could have caused an upset there, and I was right.
What a way to do it, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
we all said on stream it would be crucial for Keys to win the first set, and she lost the first set, and we were like, okay. And then she almost bagels Swiatek for the first time since 2021, and we were like, what's going on? And then, and then it somehow I was
watching the live score. I was at work at the time. I was watching the live scores of the match, and I was like, is Iga injured? Well, she's just won the first set, and now she was 5 love down.
She did that. She did that thing after the second set finish, which she always does, which was been going viral on social media of her just like doing her like routine that she does, where she like gets super pumped up, and
was he gonna get it?
Great point.
Oh my god! How the hell did Sinner win that?
What was I? I just lost my train of thought completely now. Oh yeah, the Iga doing a little warm up at the start of the third, which everyone was like, well, why should she be called for a time violation? She's stopping Keys serving. Keys is ready to serve, and it's a bit of a thing where everyone's like, surely this isn't the first time Iga's done this. Like, she likes to push the boundaries for Like,
well, she has in like big pressure points on her opponent's serve. Just look like she's about to get ready, and then puts her racket up just all of a sudden just to stay held on. And it's the 10 seconds have passed where she can be, or where she could be she could be not ready, and it's there is a bit of it's I don't think it's substantial, but there is starting to pick up some evidence at the moment where she does play a bit dirty at times, especially when things aren't going her way.
Break point for Shelton.
Yeah.
Second serve. I've made the unfortunate mistake of looking at the live ticker.
Fergus.
Shelton's going to be really disappointed with that as he misses a second serve return on the backhand side into the net.
Well, he just drops his racket in frustration. I think that was a chance there. Jake, you're asking about my women's final, my thoughts on the women's final. I think it could be close. I hope it goes to 3 sets. I would still favour Sabalenka to win, but I could see a world where Madison Keys wins that match. And do you know what? To be honest, I quite like it if Madison Keys could win that match, because she's been a stalwart of the tour for a number of years. Kind of got a bit of a name for herself as winning always 500s. The ability for her to maybe pick up a Grand Slam for the first time in her career would be pretty excellent.
Oh, Sinner planting a backhand in the corner.
I mean, it was that well planted. Adam Titchmarsh went to have a look at it.
This has to be the longest Sinner service game, and it's only had one ad.
Oh, that was a good slice and bend.
It's a good volley.
Oh, he just about dealt with that.
Juice 2.
Oh, he's doing better on the forehand side than he was, earlier in this match, or for most of this match.
I mean, the expectation certainly would be for Shelton to pick up his level in his third set. I mean, a lot of what happened at the beginning of the second set was obviously just like the shock. It was the after effects of losing the first set.
Especially after having 2 set points.
Steve, I'm excited about Shesue and Ostapenko. Yeah, of course, they're in the final now. Absolutely can do it. I think it's actually a good partnership in terms of they complement each other well.
I remember, what was it last year? Because didn't Ostapenko lose the final of the Aussie Open last year, and then literally had to get like a big flight to go to Linz to play literally a day or 2 later?
Yeah, because she won the title in Linz last year.
Yeah, it was mad. She got announced she got this wild card still in Australia, and it was like, how the hell are you going to make that journey? Especially as Linz is pretty much in the middle. It's quite remote in Austria as well. Like it's not near a major airport. Just pushing it this way and that.
Oh. Sinner holds.
With a Shelton mistake there, just tried to add too much, bring it too shallow to the court with the cross quarter.
Yeah, it's just Sinner is just like the thing is with Sinner nowadays. You rarely ever see him like make like a silly mistake, and if he does, then it's like he sort of locks in afterwards, and it's like very rare that.
Yeah.
So it's just he just hits everything so perfectly at the moment, and yeah, it's like Playing Sinner's like you're playing a video game and you put it to like extra hard mode.
Yeah, no, genuinely,
It's like
I bet you it feels like that as well because he just doesn't miss. Like he makes some ridiculous balls that look like they're almost like glitching and like, or he like creates some ridiculous angle.
Yeah, you're like no one could really do that.
Yeah, but
does it?
It's ridiculous. Do you reckon Sinner will have a better record than he did last year?
If he does, then bloody hell.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, assuming that he doesn't have to, get a suspension or whatever from a step away from the tour for a while.
Yeah.
If he manages to win the Slam, I mean, God, like his backhand is so good. I mean, when he's redirecting cross court, is so. Oh, okay.
Cavade stepped down as Raducanu's coach.
Yeah, he's stepping down to spend some more time with his family. Statement. It's quite a classic line. But it's been good that Emma's had a stable coach for a year and a half. The hope is that she can then choose somebody to have another long spell with if possible.
She's still with her trainer. I can't remember his name. The trainer that worked with Sharapova and you know who I mean. Great job.
Yeah. He'll. I'm sure that Emma will be given like a temporary coach from the LTA or something for the time until she decides who her main coach is going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. He's playing better here, Shelton, but I mean, 2 sets down, maybe too little, too late.
It'll be interesting to see how Emma plays this week in Singapore then, with no Cavade. Great serve to finish.
Well, the conditions are perfect for her. It's an indoor hard court. She has a lot of support in Asia, so she'll have a lot of people that will want her to do well in the stands. And remember from what was it, the Billie Jean King Cup last year? She was the MVP of the entire tournament. Didn't lose a single game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with Emma is like she obviously has a talent, but she's just been too stop-start and playing matches. So she's just, and then she was kind of getting going, and then she gets injured, and then that's happened twice actually here in Seoul. Because
I think the annoying thing was that everything was going really well last year up until the end of Wimbledon. And then she decided to only play Washington and then nothing else before the US Open. And it was like that build up, all that stuff that she was able to build up in her body, get herself match sharp, get her body in a good place to be able to go deep in tournaments. It disappeared pretty much like over that span of those few weeks. And then, as you say, she then makes a statement saying that the Asian swing's a big time for her because that's where a lot of her fans are based, and then only survives a couple of matches at Seoul, and then hey presto, she's out until the Billie Jean King Cup. It's like, well, that lasted.
I think it's tough because she's as Eddie says, she's obviously a huge name, and she said at the start of this year that she's really trying to gain more matches under her belt because obviously she only played 15 tournaments last year.
Yeah,
and she's made that clearer in a press conference before after in her third round press conference. Oh my word, what a forehand from Shelton.
Jeez, yeah.
In a press conference in her third round, she said she's obviously playing Singapore, and then she said she'll probably fly out to Asia to play in Doha and then Dubai, maybe, because she's just on the cusp of those entry list cutoff points without having to play qualifying, and then obviously go to Indian Wells and Miami. So I think she's just she's at that point now where she's got her ranking in a place where she doesn't need to play qualifying for the big tournaments, so she can just base her schedule around the big tournaments and then see where it goes from there. Love 30 on the Sinner serve.
Do you think she'll play Abu Dhabi like she did last year, which is what thing that this will be between
I
Singapore
don't know
and
if she'll play in
Doha?
Abu Dhabi. She won her first round match against. Don't tell me.
This is not like this is testing burgers time.
I actually can visualize who it is. I can visualize her face, but I cannot remember her name.
Or I remember Heather Watson beating Veronica Kudermetova in that tournament.
Yeah.
Borskova, that was it.
Yes. Anyway, I don't know if she will. She's obviously got a few one round of points to defend there in a sense, but she only played 1,000. Oh, Shelton will be disappointed that it's just missed the forehand. Yeah. It might be that she plays the 2 1,000s because she went out in the first round of the Doha 1,000. So maybe she'll play both 1,000s before going to Indian Wells. But
I remember how funny that was because like Sky were building up the fact that they went there. That was the first time that the Sky Sports Tennis was going to be a channel. They had the commentary team. They're going to base around Emma hopefully having a bit of a run, and then she goes out in just over an hour, and they were like, "Well, okay." And so they went straight to interview them as soon as she got off the court. Like it was actually quite alarming how quickly she was done to go interview them straight after the court match. And then, yeah, it was a fun one. But hopefully a better run in Doha and Dubai next year, though, would be great for her.
Yeah, and I think it will come.
Yeah.
Said the other day that Raducanu's actual level is in the next 10 years is still a guessing game, as no one truly knows. If you want to know what I actually expect from her, I expect her to be seeded at Wimbledon. And that is a fact.
In what time frame?
What do you mean?
You expect her to in her career
to this year's Wimbledon? Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay.
I could see her even getting like a low ranking seeding at the French, to be honest.
Listen, she consistently beats
2 great points here, though, for Shelton.
Yeah, I know. And a second serve. Everyone just holding their breath.
Just what's going to happen here. Cross court, slice from Sinner.
Oh, it's too big from Sinner. She has a few points to defend in Indian Wells. She has no points to defend in, pretty much 0 points to defend in February. No points to defend in Miami. She has no points to defend in Madrid. She has a couple to defend in Stuttgart, yeah. And then no points to defend for the rest of the clay season apart from that run in Stuttgart. So by the time we get to Wimbledon, if she puts some quarterfinal runs, semi-final runs in a few tournaments together, and that is 2 break points been and gone for Shelton. I expect her to be seeded at Wimbledon, and also she gives her the opportunity to play a 5, the new women's queens in London. Also, more opportunity to get some more points under her belt instead of maybe playing in Nottingham.
Well, not Nottingham. Remember, Nottingham's now been moved into the week of Queens. Week of Queens in terms of the men's tournament. So it's based in the second week of the second week of the grass court season. So the first week it's Queens, WTA Queens, and then I think there's an event in Spain. Hang on. Well, to Hergenbosch. And then the second week it's then Nottingham and Berlin, and then the third week it's Eastbourne and Bad Homburg.
Yeah, so I expect her. Well, I hope I say it's I expect. I hope that she is seeded by Wimbledon.
I mean, I could see a world where she could win Singapore.
Well, she's 4th seed.
Yeah, she's going to be really high seeded. So
Elise Mertens is top seed, and obviously that's obviously a tricky task. But she's not as consistent.
She's beaten Elise on multiple occasions.
Kalinskaya is the top seed, isn't she? So.
Oh, is she? I thought.
I think Kalinskaya. So is obviously that would be tough if they were to meet each other. But yeah, I mean, the thing is with Emma is just I think she plays sort of top 20 level tennis, but
yeah,
to be in the top 20, you have to be playing a good number of tournaments. You have to be showing it fairly consistently. So, yeah, I think that's the issue for her, is that we haven't seen her really do it, which is
yeah,
kind of crazy, really. But yeah, I mean, if she can actually keep playing regularly, and I think she's got that fitness trainer now. What's his name?
That's who I was talking about. I can't remember his name.
But
he's a very happy chappy.
He is, and he's also very good at his job.
Yeah, it seems like from what I've heard, yeah, he was actually it will be good for her, because I think there were some things she wasn't doing correctly in terms of, I mean, all sorts, like nutrition and just her workload of doing too much or too little. So
it's also good that, because he's going pretty much everywhere with her now that obviously Cavaday's not with her trainer wise, coach wise. It's good that she still has someone in her box that understands what's going on with her and her tennis. So until she gets a new coach, it's good that he's there to support the 2 weeks or so that she doesn't have a coach.
Just to quickly note, because I can see, Deluded, you've asked a question about to me about the men's doubles final. I feel I'm probably going to be a bit too patriotic. I'm going to say Patton and Heliobara, I think, will do it. They beat Bolelli and Vavasori at Wimbledon last year, the only time they played in a Grand Slam. I just feel as though they're playing too well this week to not win that title. So I'm going to go Patton and Heliobara to win their second Grand Slam title tomorrow.
Feeling extra patriotic today, James.
I do feel extra patriotic today. I should have a flag waving it.
Yeah. 30-all second serve for Shelton. Sinner going to tuck into this one. No, that's absolutely huge from Shelton.
You have to say, I mean, all the moments that Shelton's had in this
and
match.
Sinner still wins the point.
Sinner still wins the point. He still wins the point. Since Shelton is hitting bombs, and it's not. He's a bit like those annoying people in Call of Duty. That you got grenades that you're throwing into your opponent's camp, and they're picking them up and throwing them back all the time.
What about the doubles? The doubles final? No, I think it'll be Patton and Heliobara. So I agree with James, because I'm also feeling extra patriotic today.
Well, we'll be singing the national anthem by the end of this, Fergus.
Absolutely, always back the Brit.
Hashtag back the Brits.
100%. What was that, Eddie? Sorry.
Who's got the hamstring? Is it Sinner's pulling at his hamstring.
Is it? Because Shelton was the one that called for the trainer before.
No, but in the last point that made it juice, it showed you in the replay that Sinner was holding his left hamstring after.
Oh, it's too big from Shelton.
Just listening in to see if I can hear anything. I'm not seeing anything or hearing anything.
No.
They mentioned it actually in the commentary, but I don't know what commentary you're listening to, but I'm on the world feed.
225 kph that first serve. I know he missed it, but he's really going for it. How fast is that? That must be 1.4. That's nearly 140, isn't it?
Hold the line corner again. I'm going to get my conversion up.
225 kms. That's just.
That's 139 miles an hour.
Yeah. Oh, Shelton did so well to win that point. I thought, oh no, Sinner is walking a bit.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
Gingerly. I mean, to be fair, he was really pulled around in that point. Like, Shelton was just hitting bomb after bomb after bomb.
Yeah, Tim Hammond just said that a limping Sinner.
Gingerly. Well, yeah, I think his possibly his.
Well, this could change the story of the match.
Strap in for another 3 sets, folks.
No, it's just right quad. Before it was left hamstring, now right quad. Come on, what's going on here? Is he just?
And then Ben Shelton's doing exactly what you shouldn't be doing in this scenario, which is just continuously keep on hitting it back to him. And it sounds like a classic statement, but just move the big guy, just move him around, test it out.
I mean, if Sinner actually is like struggling a little bit physically here, I mean that might be something that, if it goes to 5 sets, it might help Zverev out. But
I mean, right now, if I was Zverev, I'd be having popping some schnitzels or whatever right now in celebration of how these two are looking.
Zverev's having a lovely sit down with a cup of tea, and he's ready to go to bed. Because honestly, Zverev's played. Has he dropped 2 sets the entire tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he will drop one to Humbert and one to.
I think it's only Humbert, isn't it, that he's dropped sets to?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course he only had to play 1 against Djokovic, so
yeah.
He
dropped a set to Tommy Paul as well, of course.
Sinner,
there we go. Limping Sinner now has a break.
Shelton's furious. What was I even saying? What was I talking about? Oh, I want to know what you two think will be positions 6 to 10 by the end of this year on the men's side. Because top 5's too easy because we already know what the top 3 will be, pretty much, unless a dramatic fall off. So 6 to 10.
If I
take
speak,
I
need to look at the rankings.
If I speak, I will get 20 minutes. So my prediction, in which I carried on for, and I got slated for this, and I'll go through it. So I've got Draper in 6. I've got Runa in 7. I had who did I have at 8? I had Medvedev at 8. I had Musetti at 9, and I had Fils at 10.
Okay.
That was my 6 to 10. I very much got a out with the almost like an out with the old, or at least the out with the somewhat old, and in with the sort of the new lot that seem to have more hunger and a better game and whatnot. Granted, it's a weird one because when what happened with like Fonseca and Tien and Mickelson and all those sort of big wins that they were getting, I was a bit like, oh, maybe actually I was a little bit too conservative with my predictions for those lot. But certainly given the fact that they didn't then continue that with deep runs afterwards, makes me still fairly confident that pickle juice has been taken on court. That I'm actually more. I don't think the likes of Rublev, Brood, Tsitsipas, any of those players are going to keep themselves into the top 10 this year. I think this is the year that they will just disappear from the top 10.
Who's that? Ruud and
Rublev and Tsitsipas. I think they're gone this year. I think they'll be in the top 20, but I don't think they'll be in the top 10. And
yeah,
I think, Go on, sorry, Eddie.
No, I would agree with those players like Vulnerable.
Like I expect Ruud to have another good clay court season, but nowhere near as good as he had last year. And it's just one of those things where I see him keeping in the top 20. I don't see him in the top 10.
I mean, Tommy Paul's going to be moving into the top 10 for the first time, right?
Yeah, I don't think he'll stay there. I think he's really good that he's got himself in the top 10 for the first time. I don't think he'll stay there though.
I think he could still be. I think he possibly could be maybe like the 10th spot still, or like 9th or something. I think it's possible. Runa, I think, might get back into the top 10.
Yeah, I've got Runa in the top 10. I think he will. I certainly, what we've seen this week, I feel more confident. I mean, when he lost in the first round in Brisbane, I was like, oh God, here we go again for another year of him being a disappointment. But actually, it's a good run that he got this year at the Australian Open. I think he'll perform in some of the bigger tournaments again.
Huge from Sinner.
So if he is drinking pickle juice and he is just like massaging his hamstring, maybe it's not necessarily an injury and more just cramp.
Yeah, that makes more sense then, because it wasn't. Oh, what a forehand!
168. That forehand. That is.
I mean, he needs to get a speeding ticket for forehands that big.
That actually reminded me a bit of but actually better. Some of the forehands that Fonseca was hitting, and but that was.
I mean, the big test for Fonseca this year is consistency. It's great, beating the world number 9 Rublev in the first round of a Grand Slam, but then to lose to Sonego straight after, that kind of dampened it a slight bit in terms of, well, are we just going to see flashes in the pan from you, or are you going to be able to make deep runs at a lot of tournaments this year?
Yeah.
But I'm fully on board that I think Fonseca has Grand Slam winning potential. He just needs to make sure that he's consistent throughout the year, that he is going to be beating, if you're going to beat the likes of Rublev, the expectation is you're going to be able to beat the likes of Sonego.
Jannik's just looking like, okay, let's get this done.
Yeah, let's go. I've had enough. Eddie, have you got your 6 to 10 list?
I mean, I've not actually. I need to actually sit down and think about it. But I mean, in terms of I wouldn't be surprised if Rublev, Dimitrov, possibly, Ruud drops out, and then possibly I think Paul could get in there, and then Runa, and maybe this. I think the third one I'm more unsure of because Musetti. I'm not as high on Draper at the moment as some of. I'm not sure if he'll do it this year, but if he does, he might sneak in that sort of lower part of in that 6 to 10 range. But Feast as well. I'm not convinced as well. I think he's really good, but will he get to the top 10 this year? We'll have to see. I mean, it can come down to if one of them manages to win a Masters tournament, and then it's like,
oh, jeez, that was a backhand winner from Sinner.
Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
It's
actually.
Sorry, Eddie, I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
Midway.
Yeah, he's just like, no nonsense now, locked in.
Free break points and and pretty much match points at that, you would say. We got a off the net claw there, and he double fault. Ben, what are you doing here, lad? You're just giving it to him now. Well, they go to the chairs. They go for a sit down. I'm sure that Sinner will enjoy another shot of pickle juice, and he'll be coming out to serve for the match.
Well, then at least we get. I expect Sinner to serve out this match, and I think we will get an interesting final on Sunday.
We will. We will have the number 1 seed Jannik Sinner against the number 2 seed Alexander Zverev.
My prediction
who would have predicted that?
Me.
Who would have predicted that? The top 2 seeds in the final.
Everyone was saying either Djokovic and Sinner or Alcaraz on Sinner.
I just noticed it.
I mean, certainly with the how the draws have gone. I mean, we looked at it and we said certainly for Sinner that certainly when he should have got through his half of the draw quite straightforwardly, and he relatively has. It was a lot more jeopardy in the bottom half of the draw. Any one of Djokovic, Alcaraz, or Zverev could have made the final realistically, and Zverev has been the one that has got through that one. And it's serving for the most Jannik Sinner. Karen Eddie.
So I was going to say, yeah. I mean, Ghosty's saying interesting. He doesn't see it as an interesting final, but I mean, well,
I do. I think it'll be an all right final. I could see split sets. Who do we go for? Actually, oh no, we'll wait until this.
Thanks,
we'll wait
Steve.
until the end. Let's wait till the end.
Appreciate
ask
it.
that question. What are we waiting for? Well, certainly I think there needs to be questions around Shelton's mentality, certainly in sets 2 and 3. He's kind of given it to Sinner at points.
I wouldn't say in set 3. In set 2, I would say definitely kind of let it drift quite a lot and let Sinner take the second set quite comfortably. Third set, I think Sinner's just been too good. I think it's just been really, really impressive as per. Not really any change there, is there?
I guess this has kind of gone how we'd expected. Shelton to really show up in the first set, show some good flashes, but Sinner just to ride through it and then be quite comfortable in sets 2 and 3, really. But Shelton is currently 15-30 up on Sinner's serve.
Whoa. A tasty little backhand there from Shelton. I know you'd already seen that about 2 minutes ago, but
Beautiful serve out wide from Sinner. Makes it 30-all. Sassy throwing of the ball back there.
That was actually a bit sassy, yeah. 2 points away.
2 points away from having the opportunity to defend his Australian Open title.
Ghost, don't let Steve's remarks get to me. It's okay. Thanks, though.
Here's a question, actually, and I'm guessing one of you two will know. Who was the last tennis player to defend their first ever Grand Slam title? That's a question, because Alcaraz hasn't done it. Djokovic didn't do it.
Federer did it.
Would it be Federer? Or would Nadal? Would it be Nadal in the French Open?
Yeah, well... Yeah, I guess Nadal was after Federer, so
I'm sure Sampras. No, didn't Roddick won US Open 2 years in a row, didn't he?
No, he only won it once.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. And Sinner is into the final. Beats Ben Shelton 7-6, 6-2, 6-2 in just over 2.5 hours to book his place into the last dance, the big showpiece final between him and the world number 2. It's the world number 1 versus the world number 2. Alexander Zverev versus Jannik Sinner to see who can become the Australian Open champion for 2025. Wow. What did you all make of that performance, lads?
Superb, really, from Sinner's side. I mean, I thought Shelton obviously started well and was keeping up the pressure. But ultimately, when it came to him to serve out the match, he couldn't produce the goods in it. But a lot of that was to do with when I say serve out the first set. A lot of that was to do with Sinner stepping up, and he's so good in the return games that he can make Shelton look kind of ordinary, really, and it was just a case of him getting through that, and then really, it felt like, I was maybe getting ahead of myself a bit, but it felt like from that point, once he won the first set, that it was only going to be one result, and I think from the point of view of Shelton, when he was under those pressure moments, he needed to deliver better. He wasn't. His forehand just wasn't. There were so many errors, especially earlier on, and he didn't really find it until later on in the match. Those forehands, going inside out. He's just too many into the net or going wide, and really, you've got to take any few chances you got. You've got to be on top of it. To, maybe take that first set, and then he's maybe got a chance against Sinner. But right now, Sinner was just so locked in. His serve, without having to serve particularly well, actually, his return and but his from the baseline is just unbelievable, and there's really nothing else to say. Just too good, and I'll let you guys have give your thoughts.
Go on, Fergus. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I think Shelton invested so much into that first set with 2 set points that as soon as he didn't win it and then got broken immediately in the second, he just let it drift from there. There was a little spark in the beginning of the third where he had those 2 break points. But I think Shelton let it drift a bit too much. Obviously, it's hard. It's easy to say that from him. Shelton obviously played superbly in that first set. But Sinner suffocated him really after that first set with just pure quality off the baseline and just economical hitting that didn't really miss. Sinner rarely missed a beat in the match again, which was exactly like his performance against de Minaur. So I think going into the final, I think Zverev will be happy with how much he's played on court and how much Sinner's played on court. I would prefer to be in Zverev's situation than Sinner, but it should be an interesting final, hopefully, as much as most of the chat disagrees.
No, as you say, it was all based on that first set, really. If Shelton was able to take that first set, we could probably suggest that there could have been a match that could have occurred from that, and jeopardy would have been instilled into the contest that could actually Ben Shelton cause the upset. But as we said, it was that 15-minute spell where Shelton just wasn't able to serve it out of 7-5. Goes to a breaker. Sinner is then dominant in that breaker, and then we go into the second set, and then Shelton still shell shocked probably from not being able to do it in the first set, goes 4-love down, and then that wrote that set. Picked up a bit in that second set, certainly started to look a bit more competitive, but just when, those key few points in the middle of the third set just cost Shelton the match. And I must admit, it did feel a bit in that third set. I know you guys didn't agree that double fault that he gave away to make it a double breakdown was just him basically almost like throwing in the white flag really to the scenario. And it was just a real shame really. It's the second semi-final for Ben Shelton, and another amount of learning that he can take away from it. Again, it was a bit of a beatdown, similar to what he faced in the what's the match I'm thinking of the Djokovic match that he played at the US Open a couple of years ago. But it does, as you say, set up the tantalizing prospect between the world number 1 Jannik Sinner versus the world number 2 Alexander Zverev. And both these players can be seen to be quite baseline heavy games. They don't particularly like to come to the net too much, those two, even though when they do come to the net, they can be quite good, or certainly use different varieties in the balls that they tend to hit. And Zverev can get himself involved in some epics, as we have seen throughout last year, and seeing how that can play out. So thinking about that then, who are we picking to win that final and why? We started with Eddie first of all in the first section, but we'll go to Fergus for the second for this section. So Fergus, who do you think is going to win this match and why?
I was about to say Zverev. No.
I put you on the spot here. Sorry about that.
That's right. Sinner in 4, I think. I think Zverev levels it up at 1-1, 6-4 in the second. But then I think Zverev, as he often does, will start tightening up. And Deluded Steve agrees with me. So there you go. I mean, stop. I'm not copying me, Deluded Steve. I think Zverev will start tightening up, and it will get easier for Sinner to hit off the baseline. And then it won't be easy, but I think maybe like a 4th set tie break, and then Sinner takes it there. So, yeah, I think it'll be pretty. It won't be smooth sailing. I think it'll probably be quite a long match, but I think, I think Sinner will come through.
You're going Sinner in 4. Was that the same as your prediction? Cool. Okay, so Eddie, are you gonna counter that, or are you gonna be following a bit of a sheep, as they would like to say, and follow the same sort of scoreline?
Yeah, Zverev in 3. No, I think you have to be. I think you have to be a little bit mental to go against Sinner at the moment. Like, I just. Unless there's some sort of, I think, the best chance for Zverev to get into it is maybe like, it was like maybe if Sinner has some of the physical struggles that pop up again and it goes to 5 sets. But I mean, as well, Zverev's no guarantee. Like, I mean, he sort of mentally struggled to get over the line in his last 2 slam finals when he was in good positions to win. Or look like he could get on and win. But then, so, but in terms of, of course, we know Zverev has the serve that's effective a bit more so than Shelton's was today. And then, he does have the return as well. So, he can keep this close, but it just seems to me at the moment like Sinner, when it's come to the tight moments, he's just performed so well so far. I would say actually it's been, I think so far. I mean, like, for example, in the match against Tommy Paul, he got a little bit lucky there, Zverev, in terms of like actually, Tommy looked like he should have taken the first 2 sets, and then he just kind of fell away mentally. Let's be honest. I mean, he's not going to get those kind of chances from Sinner. So I mean, it's going to have to take a very good Zverev performance, I think, to actually to do that. But I think, the chance that we see that and that Sinner doesn't perform quite as well, it seems unlikely. So I mean, I have to say Sinner in 4, but it's not a particularly adventurous prediction, that, but
no, I'm gonna go. I feel a bit like a sheep as well. I'm gonna say Sinner. I'm gonna say Sinner in 5. I'm gonna continue what I said. What I think could happen, which is I think Zverev's gonna go 2 sets to love up. I think it's gonna it's in its hands, and then all of a sudden Sinner is gonna come back and win the next 3 sets in a row, with the final set being something like 10-8 in the decider, and Zverev is going to be mortified on the court. That is what I think could happen.
Is it going to be like a full breakdown, tears, like encore, like Zverev's like 2-love and a double breakup, and Sinner then just turns on the burners? If that happens, I'll give you £10 if Zverev goes 2 sets to love up, and then Sinner, then Sinner comes back and wins. I just think a combination of Zverev getting tight, if he does get into that situation where he is in a position to win, and Sinner being so good in the big moments. Like, I don't remember the last time that it was a big moment in a match and Sinner missed a first serve. Like, he's so good under pressure and in the big moments that I think it's really hard to pick against Sinner. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate your comments in the chat.
So we're all going to look like absolute mugs when Zverev wins it in straight sets, and it's the most comfortable Grand Slam victory that we've ever probably seen.
It's 1-2 and 1, yeah.
Yeah, 1-2 and 1.
Yeah.
We have a situation where at the end of the match, Sinner turns his racket around, hands it to Zverev, and goes, "You are the king," or so something bizarre like that. Cool. Okay, so we've gone through the match, we've gone through predictions, so that means we can probably draw this to a close. We are very much at the tail end. We're at the last few scrapes and matches of the first Grand Slam of the year. It's getting a little bit sad actually that it's going to be coming to an end, and we're going to go into a bit of the wilderness of just main tour tennis until May. As we know, we've got tomorrow. We've got the final. I'm going to ask lads for a quick prediction, literally 30-second prediction. Who's going to win? Is it going to be Keys, or is Madison Keys going to pick up her first Grand Slam title, or is Arina Sabalenka going to do the three-peat and win the Australian Open for the third time in a row? Eddie, Keys or Sabalenka? Who's your pick?
I'm going to go Keys. I'm going to go Keys. You're going to go three. Shock the world.
Keys in three. Keys in three. Excellent. You're going to go Keys in three. And Fergus, who are you going for?
Sabalenka 5-3.
5-3. Okay, so we're going to go. We've got Sabalenka in straights from Fergus. We've got Keys in 3 sets from Fergus. I'm going to go. I want Keys to win. I think Sabalenka is going to win. I'm going to say Sabalenka in 3. I'm going to go Sabalenka in 3 is going to be my prediction for that one. I guess we're all not going to go for whatever Ghost is talking about there. It just kind of caught me off guard. And then okay, so we're going to cover it. But that's tomorrow, 8:30 UK time. So that's like 9:30 Central European time. Really, unfortunately, really early in the morning if you are in the States. And then, of course, that is followed by the men's doubles match, which I hope you're going to watch if you can, just because you want to support doubles. And then on Sunday, of course, 8:30, it's going to be the men's singles match. Both the singles matches for the men and the women will be covering here on Talking Tennis. So please do tune in and take a listen to whoever we've got talking through those matches. It should be great as we draw a close to the first Grand Slam of the season. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
I was hoping John was still here.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.